7 to 10. It's time to get up and get your day started. Sports 56 mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
Chomp, chomp. If you are a fan of the Florida Gators, you are in a pretty good mood this morning because you are the men's basketball national champions for the 24-25 season. Welcome into Sports 56 mornings on this Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers with you. Broadcasting. We're live and local from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. It's pool time, and they're already booking pool installs for 2025 at Family Leisure. Buy now. Get on the list for your pool installment. They have all types of great deals on hot tubs and swim spas and cold plunges. So check them out today at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of Interstate 40. It's Family Leisure. Currently 43 degrees. Quite chilly out there. 57 for a high today. That is it, but at least it's going to be a bright and sunny day. Tonight, it'll get down to 37 with clear skies, and then warming up tomorrow to 72 with sunshine. Got a little rain possibility on Thursday, but for the most part, rest of the week into the weekend, looks to be sunny and nice. Coming up on the program today, obviously, we'll be talking a lot about last night's national championship game. Won by Florida in dramatic style, come from behind style, 65-63. The Grizzlies in action tonight as they take on the Charlotte Hornets. Looks like John Morant will be back. He is expected to be back anyway, as they look to make it 3-0 on the road trip before coming home for a late Thursday night tip against the Timberwolves. We'll talk a little pro football NFL draft, which is just a couple of weeks away. It's Masters Week at Augusta National. We'll talk about that. Memphis Tigers basketball recruiting, where are they right now? A lot of names associated with Memphis have decided to go elsewhere. So what's happening for Penny Hardaway and staff as they try to fill that roster? And the latest with the House settlement as it nears finalization. We're talking about probably the biggest game changer in the history of amateur athletics. Connor O'Gara joins us at 7:25, the senior national columnist for Saturday Down South. Mickey Barker at 9:05 begins another season with us, talking golf. He's the administrator of golf for the city of Memphis. And we'll have Humdinger's trivia as well. We'll take your calls and texts on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. Wow, Eli, wow. Houston right there with the possibility of their first ever national championship. They were able to come from behind to beat Duke. People would look at Duke and say, well, they gave that one away. Well, there's no question that people will look at last night's result and say, Houston gave that one away, but congratulations to Florida.
Yeah, the Houston certainly knows how to rip its fans' hearts out in national championship games. I mean, my goodness gracious, it's amazing. What a game! Ended up being the just absolute rock fight, street brawl that you probably figured, and points were hard to come by, and which suits Houston perfectly. Everything seemed to be going their way, looked like they were on their way to finally getting that first title. But yeah, just down the stretch, this time they wilted, and those last few possessions were absolute disasters. And Walter Clayton, after being quiet, made a couple of big shots, and Florida finds a way to get it done and ends the historic season for the SEC with a national championship. But yeah, it was a fun game to watch, and even though it was ugly basketball, it was at least dramatic and everything else that you want. And yeah, kudos to the Gators. They were the best team most people believed coming into the tournament, with what they did at the end of the SEC season and through the SEC tournament. And then they make the run, and it was not easy by any means. They had a few games they could have easily lost, but they find ways to win games.
Back in 2008, the last time 4 number ones played in the Final Four, as people know by now, was in San Antonio, and the Memphis Tigers were involved. And we had a championship game that, unfortunately for Memphis fans, ended up going to overtime, and Kansas took over and won that game. I thought there for a while that this was going to be an overtime game. And then, especially when Houston had the ball down to with 19 seconds to go, I thought for sure they're going to go for 2 in the tie. They weren't hitting threes. It wasn't a pretty night for either team knocking down the outside shot until, as you mentioned, a big 3 by Clayton. And Richard played really, really well after not playing well in their semifinal game against Auburn. But I thought for sure they'll get it inside, maybe get a bucket, tie the game. We're headed for overtime. And then, lo and behold, the defense that Florida was able, and they were a good defensive team. Houston known for their defense. But what Florida was able to do to prevent Houston from getting a shot off was incredible. Now, on the flip side, it was horrible down the stretch for Houston. 3 straight possessions with turnovers. Cryer wasn't getting enough touches, in my opinion. They depended on Emmanuel Sharp, who just wilted under the pressure. It's not one player that lost it for Houston, but there is no question in my mind that Houston lost it as opposed to Florida won it. Florida led for only, a minute and a few seconds, minute 4 seconds, whatever it was. Houston had a double-digit lead a couple of different times. And as you said, my gosh, how can you lose another one in your history in dramatic fashion like they did after losing 2 previous, one being the game against NC State, the infamous game against Jim Valvano and the Wolfpack. Elijah, do you agree? Was this Houston losing the game, or do we give credit to Florida? We should give some credit, but do we give credit to Florida for winning this one? I know a couple of times already in this tournament they were pushed to the wall and they were able to come back and win. But this one to me looked like Houston, they blew it.
Well, if you were to tell me going into this game that Houston would be able to match the threes that Florida shoots, match the rebounds, force Florida into turnovers, I mean, that's the recipe right there for a Houston win. Walter Clayton, 11 points. Houston surely wins that game, right? The way Florida played last night, is it safe to say that in a lot of ways they out-Houstoned Houston? They beat them at their own game. So I think Florida definitely deserves credit for pulling that one out.
All right, now we saw a lot of different things going on in that game, Eli. The start of the game, the pace was frantic. I didn't expect that type of pace. I thought Houston would slow it down a bit, but they played into Florida's pace because we know Florida can score the ball. The problem was that nobody was making shots, and then Houston's bigs started to dominate. They played great defense. It was all looking like Houston basketball. And then in the second half, things changed a bit. The officials changed the way that game was flowing. The first half, they called 4 fouls or 6? They called,
I'm not sure what the total number was.
I wrote it down somewhere here. 4. They called 4 fouls in the first 20 minutes, and in the second half, it was a foul fest. And they were playing the same exact way. They were playing physical. They were playing defense in your face. They were playing a little frantic, getting up and down with the pace. And all of a sudden, the officials decided that they were going to call it close in the second half. And that's not just me saying that. Everybody and their mom knows that. The analysts after the game. The officials, that's horrible. You have to be consistent. Either call it tight or let them play for the entire game, not for 20 minutes and then change it for 20 minutes. So they did that. I don't know why they did it, but they did that. But nevertheless, down the stretch, the lack of execution by Houston did them in.
Yeah, the officials, I thought they didn't find the happy medium. I mean, the first half, guys were getting murdered out there, and they were just letting it go. Which with that, the way it was going, I was like, oh God, this is Houston you talk about playing right up Houston's alley. You're letting these guys just be this physical and not have to worry about anything. This is perfect for Houston. And then, at halftime, clearly the officials decided they were going to call it a little tighter, and then it became every single thing that happened was a foul. And it's like, man, I thought the second half was going to take 3 hours to play by itself. And, they needed to be somewhere between the first half and the second half. They never found that happy medium. You look back, and obviously there was a lot of time, and who knows what happens, all these things. But the missed goaltending call on Florida, what a difference 2 points could have made in this game for Houston in the end. But that first half, I mean, if Will Richard doesn't do what he did, that game would have been over at halftime. I mean, Florida just the defense of Houston on Clayton was just suffocating. Like, they were just not going to allow him to get shots off. I mean, those first few shots he threw up, he was just forcing stuff up there from everywhere. Then realized, okay, that's dumb. I can't be doing that. They started getting those, getting some of those guys, the big men, beating him down the court, doing some stuff, and he was getting assists. But I mean, they could not hit a shot outside of the paint. And then Condon was in weird panic mode. He kept
trying to dribble out.
He would never look to shoot. He kept looking to pass, and he kept traveling. He had 3 traveling calls in the first half. It's hard to get 3 traveling calls in a half of basketball anymore. And he wouldn't look to shoot at all. It was catch the ball in the paint and look immediately outside to try and find somebody. But Richard, I mean, it was. If he doesn't do that, I mean, they would have been down so much of the half that they wouldn't have had a chance to come back against that Houston team. So kudos to him for stepping up. And then you just knew at some point Clayton's got to make a couple of plays. You're just there's no way they can continue to do this the entire game where he doesn't get any good looks. And sure enough, he got a couple of opportunities there. And if it doesn't take much for him, just give him a little bit of a look and he can knock it down. And, then Condon actually started to actually shoot a little bit instead of just trying to pass it constantly. Houck made a couple of big plays. But yeah, I mean, as you said, I mean, if you going in, Walter Clayton, 11 points, how in the hell are they supposed to win a game? And the fact that he said only 8 offensive rebounds for Florida. I mean, that's Florida's bread and butter, is especially if they're going to miss as many shots as they did. For them to only get 8 offensive rebounds while Houston was dominating the offensive boards and Florida still wins that game somehow, it's pretty amazing.
Well, Houston was the more physical team. They were pushing these guys out, and that's why I don't think Condon, I don't see him being much in the NBA if he gets there. I mean, he got pushed around. Tugler and Roberts and all those bigs for Houston that came off the bench, they were really physical. The problem was Roberts couldn't make a shot. He was 3 out of 13, and all those bunnies that they had, and they had, as you said, the chance to be way up. I mean, way up. Now, they were up double digits, but they could have had this game maybe put on ice by halftime. Now, here's the thing with Walter Clayton, who was named the MOP, the most outstanding player, and rightly so. They had a great game plan for him. Look, they were doubling him up. This does not change any thoughts I have about how good I think that guy's going to be at the next level. In fact, the NBA scouts and personnel have said that nobody helped their stock better than Walter Clayton Jr. in the NCAA tournament. On the flip side, I think Condon's hurt his stock. But Clayton wasn't able to shoot. You're right, he was forcing shots early. But down the stretch, he makes the plays. He hits the runner and one. He gets the three-point shot to go. But he also adds 7 assists and gets 5 rebounds. He blocks a shot. He gets a steal. So he was doing other things. He wasn't taken out of that game mentally, where I thought maybe early on he was going to get really frustrated, and then still ends up with 11 points. But to your point, Clayton, Elijah Martin, they were combined for the game 5 of 20. They were 2 of 13 from 3. I just didn't like that. And I know Emmanuel Sharp has been good for Houston all season long, but their scorer is L.J. Cryer. And I know he got a touch on that last possession, which was just awful, and had to give it up after the double team, which I credit Florida on that last possession for great, great defense. But the last 3 possessions, they turned it over. Was it Sharp all 3 times that turned it over? I mean, it was...
The last 2 were Sharp.
The last 2 was Sharp. I'm not sure who it was. The third possession from the end of the game for Houston. But offensively, on those possessions, they looked absolutely lost. I would have liked to have seen Cryer take over. He was 4 of 11 from 3. He ends up with 19 points, 6 rebounds. It was just sad to see the ending the way it did. I mean, again, for people who talk about defense and there's no more defense in the game, all they had to do was watch that contest between Houston and Florida. You saw a lot of defense. But on that last possession, it was some of the best defense I've ever seen, combined with a lack of a executed offensive play. There was a play that Kelvin Sampson had designed, but they busted it 2 different times where the player had to give up the ball, Cryer being the second one, and then when Sharp got it, he goes into a shooting motion, he leaves his feet, he goes in the air, he can't touch the ball again or it's going to be a turnover, and instead he's hoping that somebody can come over. It took a while. I don't know if that was Roberts who dove at the end, but Condon got the ball at the end and put it away. But they were a little confused what to do as the time runs down. I thought they started their offense way too late. I know you want to kind of get that last shot, not kind of. You want to get that last shot, and if you make it, you're going to overtime. If you miss it, you lose. But to me, they started that offense so late that it got blown up by Florida. And once again, Houston had opportunities. They should have won the game. I think it's more they blew the game, but I'm going to give a lot of credit to the Gators in that last possession defensively. They were absolutely outstanding. They stymied Houston.
Yeah, I mean, Walter Clayton, Clayton on a night where the offense wasn't what it normally is, he makes the huge defensive play. He's the one that closes out there and forces Sharp to not be able to get the shot off. And it was weird as he drops that ball and everybody is just kind of standing there like, thinking, did he travel? No, the ball's just bounced. Somebody just needs to go grab the basketball at this point as it's bouncing. He's trying to block Florida guys from getting it, letting his guy get it. It was a weird, surreal moment there. But yeah, I mean, that was a great defensive play all around, but Clayton with that closeout on him. And we've seen Kelvin Sampson in this tournament, the out of bounds play against Purdue and come up with, and there was a lot of good stuff last night coming out of timeouts from both coaches. But in the end, Florida played a great defensive possession. And, really too, because the possession before, the reach in by Richard to knock the ball off the knee of Sharp. I mean, there was some just key, huge defensive plays that were made down the stretch by Florida.
I picked Houston, and I'm disappointed that they didn't win last night. But how many times have I said on the show, guys, about Florida after each win? I've seen it before where it's not always the case, but I've seen it so many times where the national champion had to go through some trials and tribulations during the tournament where they were about to lose a game. Once, maybe twice, and they persevered, and that team would go on to win the Natty. And that's exactly, I said, it's probably Florida's year because they did. It was against Texas Tech. And then who was the other one?
Earlier in the tournament against UConn, they were down.
Right, UConn, where we thought that absolutely Hurley just coached circles around Golden. And then a tough win over Auburn. So they had those tough battles in which they figured out a way to win, whether it was a clutch shot by Clayton offensively or it was a defensive stop like they did last night. So all credit to Florida and Todd Golden. Todd Golden able to do what he was able to do with his Florida Gators team. He hasn't been there long. He comes from San Francisco. He deals with the allegations at the beginning of the year, which could have sidetracked this team, derailed this team, but all they did was win basketball games the whole entire time that the accusations continued to be out there. And then once they got rid of him and cleared his name, it was all systems go for Florida. And then for the SEC, and we'll talk to Connor O'Gara here in a few moments. And I think Connor said this to us 2 weeks ago, that to complete the deal for the SEC in a historic year, they needed to win a championship. I don't know if they did. I think they held up pretty well in the postseason. 14 teams getting in, and they had half of the Elite Eight teams, and they had 2 in the Final Four. So if they came up a little short last night, I'm not going to sit there and rip them, but maybe Connor and others, and Connor will speak for himself here, that they would look at it and go, no, you have to finish the deal if you're the SEC. And they finished the deal.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't think they needed to, but yeah, I mean, this is with winning the championship. I don't think there's any doubt it's the best season that a conference has ever had in college basketball. I mean, incredible what they did along the way. And, it's you don't always see, again, Florida coming out of the SEC tournament, coming into the tournament, most people thought they were the best team, playing the best, everything else. And that's not easy. It's just never easy, despite what UConn did the last couple of years where they blew everybody out. It's usually not easy to go 6 straight games through the tournament and do what they did, especially when you are considered that best team. It's oftentimes that the best team doesn't win the NCAA tournament because all it takes is that one bad night. But yeah, they've kept finding ways. And when you got players like Clayton leading the way, that certainly helps. But I mean, again, Houston, I feel awful for Sharp. I can't imagine. They talked about what he was like in the locker room. It's just, again, there's no way to console a player after that. I mean, it's the 2 turnovers in the final 2 possessions in a game like that, just absolutely awful. And that's the unfortunate part, I guess, about games like that is somebody's got to lose it, and it's not going to be a good feeling for who ends up losing it, and especially when you lose it in that fashion.
We got Connor O'Gara coming up here in a moment. I'm curious, and maybe Tigers fans can text in, but true diehard Memphis Tigers fans, were they rooting for Houston to lose, or did they want to see Houston win and show everybody what possibilities are out there if you get that opportunity? And I know Houston was originally in the Southwest Conference. I get all that. But they came from the American. And they nearly should have probably won a national championship this season, just a few years removed from being a part of the American. So I'm curious to see if the Tigers fans were rooting for them to win or rooting against them. When we come back, Connor O'Gara from Saturday Down South. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Fill your spring with brilliant style at Sissy's Log Cabin. From the latest designer creams to one-of-a-kind pieces to exquisite diamonds, you'll find the jewelry you need for a stylish spring while enjoying the Sissy's promise of unmatched quality, service, and selection. Experience Sissy's for yourself when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Create the style of your dreams only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Join us celebrating 26 years of Napa Cafe. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I'm inviting you over for dinner. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner of scrumptious combinations, fresh salads, homemade soups, or maybe start with an appetizer like our baked Dungeness crab dip with manchego cheese, lemon, garlic, and French baguette toast. Drift into one of our fresh seafood dishes like the caramelized sea scallops with curry beurre blanc, black forbidden rice, and Thai mango salad. Or our ancho honey glazed salmon with creamy black bean puree, avocado pico de gallo, and jalapeno crema. Maybe you're looking for something cozy and comforting, like our Duroc pork chop with apple brandy demi-glaze and blue cheese bacon mashed potatoes. We have something for everyone. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. I'd sure love to see you.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. A little bit more volume in the last few minutes coming up from the south on 55 northbound up through South Haven here at State Line Road. It's only going to pick up even more in the next 10, 15 minutes guaranteed on 385 Billmore Parkway from Riverdale all the way to Ridgeway as traffic also increases I-40 in from Fayette County as you work your way into Shelby County. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters this coming bridal season. Go by and see them today and shop local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back. 7:27 the time. The Florida Gators, the national champions, another banner for the SEC, and that means, I'm sure, some happy people over at Saturday Down South. They cover all things SEC, and every other Tuesday we get a chance to talk to one of the bigwigs over there, the senior national columnist for Saturday Down South. It's time for Connor O'Gara.
Talk some SEC and college football. Joining Greg and Eli is Connor O'Gara from SaturdayDownSouth.com and SaturdayTradition.com. Here's Connor O'Gara with Greg and Eli.
He is not a Florida grad. He went to Indiana, but he's down there, I guess, Gator country of some sort. It's in Orlando. He's Connor O'Gara, the senior national columnist for Saturday Down South and the host of the Saturday Down South podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara. He joins us every other Tuesday. Is Orlando a University of Florida region, or is it just too much of a tourist region?
No, I mean, it's 2 hours away from Gainesville. UCF being here, it kind of takes away from some of that. There's a lot of Florida State fans as well in my area, but there's definitely a good amount of Florida fans here. I mean, you go to the grocery store and you see plenty of Gator gear, and it does feel like it is a unique sort of like melting pot for all the different schools, but yeah, when Florida puts together a run like that, the blue and orange is more prevalent than it's been in quite some time.
Do you, by the way, hold any resentment towards Kelvin Sampson for what happened in Indiana?
Oh gosh, we got to go there, Eli. Look,
I didn't know if you were happy that he lost or not.
No, I'm not happy that he lost because I'm convinced that if not for impermissible text messages, which is just texting recruits too many times in the year of our Lord 2007 that happened, if not for that, I think he would have won national titles in Indiana. I firmly believe that. That preceded my first 3 years of college. Like I decided I was going to Indiana. And then a month later, that scandal broke in a team with Eric Gordon, DJ White. Nobody actually cares about this, but that was sort of Kelvin Sampson's undoing. He was supposed to be kind of persona non grata in college basketball. And so there's a part of me that's watched these Houston teams really in the 2020s and thought to myself, man, what could have been? Yeah. But to answer the question, I was not rooting against him. I definitely was not. I mean, I had Houston. I think I've picked Houston to go to a national championship like 3 out of the last 4 years, including this year. And I had Florida winning it all, not to brag or anything. But this was still just an unbelievably fun team to watch, in my opinion. I'm gutted for those kids because the way that it played out down the stretch. But, yeah, man, Florida was just as resilient as one could possibly be against a road that just couldn't have been more difficult.
By the way, now we laugh at what happened with his impermissible text messages in 2025 with everything that's going on and players now being paid. So it seems laughable. It wasn't at the time, but now you look back and go, oh, my God, that's all he did and lost his job and all that good stuff. Connor O'Gara joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. All right, I'm trying to remember if this came out of your mouth 2 weeks ago. I want to say it did, but I think I asked you, despite this being like an incredibly productive, historic season for SEC basketball, do they have to win it all to make it all, be worthwhile? And I thought you said they had to, and they did.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with myself from 2 weeks ago.
Wanted to make sure that was you.
Yeah, I know. I've been saying that for forever because, look, the drought was what it was. Hadn't won a national title since 2012 Kentucky. Hadn't won a Final Four game since 2014 Kentucky. And the last non-Kentucky team from the SEC who had won a Final Four game was 2007 Florida, the repeat days. It's almost 2 decades ago. And so if the SEC had put together this unbelievably historic regular season, had put together a really solid first 3-4 rounds in the NCAA tournament, and then got to the Final Four and just didn't find a way to be the last team standing, one of those teams, yeah, it definitely would have hung over the SEC, and it would have been one of those things that you would have just said, yeah, but now when we hop off here, I'm about to write the column. I think it's the best year that a conference has ever had in college basketball, and the other comp would be maybe 1985 Big East when the NCAA tournament first expanded, and Villanova wins that title game. It's just an unbelievable all-time upset against Georgetown. They had 3 of the 4 Final Four teams, but you could look at every stage of the NCAA tournament and say, wow, SEC really flexed there. They flexed here, they flexed there. And Florida was the best team of them all. And for them to emerge from this field, to me, it just does speak to the strength of what this conference was. Florida was prepared by the SEC in a way that Duke was not prepared by the ACC. And I will firmly believe that. And I think that's how this team will be remembered.
Yeah, I've said that for a second. I don't think there's any doubt this is the best year conference has ever had. And I mean, again, they basically set a record at every level, from teams in the tournament to teams in the Sweet 16. You have half the Elite Eight. You win the national championship. Heck, a couple of your teams were eliminated only by your other teams. I mean, I don't, and going to the regular season, what they did in the non-conference portion during the regular season and just completely dominating, I don't know that you could have a better year as a conference in college basketball.
Well, so here's the pushback. I mean, the SEC had 13 losses in the NCAA tournament. That's a record. We've never seen a conference lose that many games in the NCAA tournament. So for the Archie Millers and Carl Ravishes of the world, that's going to be a tough one to stomach. And look, Lord knows that's coming to a Danny Cannell tweet near you very, very soon. So let's keep things in perspective here.
Yeah, only, let's see, if I do the math correct, they're going to have at least 13 losses because 14 teams are playing. I mean, come on, man. Absolutely, you're going to have a bunch of losses, but a bunch of wins as well. Connor O'Gara joining us from Saturday Down South. All right, so Florida, this magical year, and perseverance. You talk about close shaves, and we get a lot of national champions, not all of them, but a lot of national champions that will go through battles during their run where they barely survive, but they survive and they go on to win it. We know that the couple of games that they've played already, that they played rather in the tournament, including that close shave against Texas Tech where they had to rally to win that game. They had a few others as well, but it shows what they're made of. Also, you're talking about a team that early in the year when they were running through everybody, there was the whole Todd Golden accusations that were out there. And I've seen teams get derailed by off-the-court stuff that's going on. I don't know how they did what they did or Golden did what they did, but I guess knowing that he was innocent the whole time, maybe that made it pretty easy in his mind. But let's not forget what they went through early in that season.
Nothing fazed this team. And that's what became so evident even last night in a game in which, guys, I thought this was finally going to end for Florida. Like, at no point up until the Emmanuel Sharp, I don't even know what we're going to call that, the non-travel, whatever it might be to end that game. Up until that moment, I thought Houston's winning this game. And I've watched this Florida team very closely, and I've seen them come back, but, I mean, they just didn't have the offense. I mean, that was their worst offensive showing in 2 months. And against that Houston team, the team that just did the impossible against Duke, the team that everybody has been praising for their toughness, and rightfully so, to overcome the third largest deficit ever in a national championship game against a team of that caliber, to me, it is the stuff of legend. It truly is. And there was just nothing that was going to faze this Florida team. And I'd love to use revisionist history and say, oh, well, we all should have known what Florida was capable of when they won that game 2 months ago today at Auburn. And maybe that was the moment where we all should have stepped back and gone, guys, this team is going all the way. That was a statement win in the jungle. But you know, things happen, and it's March, and one bounce can change the entire trajectory of a season, and Florida just never let that happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like at halftime when Houston, it felt like was dominating, but was only up 3. I was like, well, that's probably a good sign for Florida. But once Houston went up double digits in the second half, like I was like against this Houston team, the way they played defense, I was like, there's just no way to get enough possessions to catch them. So I thought it was done, and. You're right. You shouldn't doubt this Florida team. Shouldn't doubt Clayton. I mean, they make plays in key situations. He, even on a game where he wouldn't even take a shot or couldn't take a shot, found a way to make plays in key situations.
So, guys, yesterday morning, I wrote the column that I think win or lose, this run in the postseason that Walter Clayton Jr. put together is better than what Kemba Walker did 2011, and here's why. And, you know, that to me was rarefied air. And I don't think I've ever written anything, you know, quite that lofty of a postseason performance, but I thought Walter Clayton Jr. had earned it. And I said, barring some sort of 1 for 17 shooting performance, this is going to really stand the test of time. And then when he got off to that start, I thought, oh boy, it's happening. I'm going to have UConn fans in my mentions. One of my good buddies is a big-time UConn fan because he went there. And I'm gonna get some heat for this. And then Walter Clayton Jr., despite the fact that he didn't have a field goal until the final 8 minutes of the game, still put on his cape. And I thought the passes that he made to be able to get some of those high percentage looks to Condon, and then, you know, people are going to forget about it because Will Richard made the unbelievable defensive play on the possession before it. But Walter Clayton Jr. had the closeout to force the awkward travel, whatever it was, even though he was out of position initially on that screen. So I'm amazed at what he was. He is a Florida legend. If they erect a statue in that guy's honor, it's not going to surprise me, and it would be justified.
You would have had the UConn fans upset at you, plus the Florida fans would have been upset because they thought that they probably would have thought you jinxed Clayton with the article. But Clayton, he came through not only with those big shots down the stretch and that defensive play. He ends up with 7 assists, 5 rebounds, a steal, a block. So he did things that certainly fill the stat sheet up, and it wasn't necessarily the shooting. It still ends up with 11 points, but he was fabulous, and that's why the NBA scouts said that he was the one player above all the players in this tournament that improved his stock for the NBA. I think, personally, that this guy is going to be a multiple NBA All-Star. I just think he has the it factor. There's something about him. So I think he stepped up, and he stepped up down the stretch. So good for him. All right, let's move on, Connor. Again, the SEC has had a banner year. We got spring football coming up. I'm not sure how much you've really looked into the spring with all your work now doing basketball, but do you know off the top of your head how many schools in the SEC will not have a spring game?
A lot. And it's kind of murky because some of this is, well, they're having a spring game, but they're not allowing any sort of cameras there. And I'm like, all right, so is that really a spring game? I don't know the exact answer to that, but I know that it's been diminished. It definitely has. And maybe a lot of this harks back to what Matt Rule said. And I kind of scoffed at that a bit, and I was like, all right, this is Matt Rule being a little bit overprotective. But I think some coaches have taken have followed in his lead and have gone, well, all right, what are we really putting out there when we know that this post-spring window exists from April 16th to April 25th? And if we don't want to have someone get poached off our roster after a great spring game performance, then why don't we just do ourselves a favor and just not necessarily have this, broadcast to the world? I do think that a lot of teams have kind of looked at this and gone, let's just take a step back and kind of reset what our motivation is going to be. And I know Steve Sarkisian said it just didn't make sense for Texas with this stage of their roster, with how far their season went, to come back and try and have this showcase. But yeah, it is a weird time, and maybe the basketball has been so prevalent and so dominant has kind of overshadowed a lot of the SEC football spring game chatter. But it feels, in my time here, my 10 years, I can't remember a time in which we've talked less spring football than right now, and it does feel like that's a huge part of it.
Well, yesterday during the day, before we had a championship game at night, we had the settlement hearing going on, which, again, it is not quite finalized yet, but what did you take, if anything, out of the situation? And it looks like basically the roster limit thing is the last real big thing to get figured out here to get this thing finalized.
As it should be, because we're talking about whether or not certain scholarships and certain schools are going to have to cut Sport X. Those are going to be the tough decisions that come of this. And I credit the fact that there is going to be due diligence put in place to make sure, all right, do we really know what we're doing here if we're going to say that we're not going to have the roster limitations for this team, or we're not going to have it for this team, and to make sure that everything is kind of locked in place, because this is going to totally change the entire dynamic of how teams are able to put together, not just their roster, but to maintain it year to year. And there's going to be so much that goes into this. So it seems like this is very imminent, and like this is going to get done. And all of a sudden, $20.5 million is going to be the new number that everybody's talking about, that it's paid to athletes every single year, the settlement that's going to be able to take care of all these past athletes. And moving forward, we're going to have this new perspective on what it means to cut checks for different athletes within your program. But yeah, I mean, I have no problem with this being delayed. I think it's just kind of a matter of what's it going to look like and what is in store for the summer, because we're going to have a lot of awkward conversations that are going to be had with teams in sports that are being cut, and that's a massive, massive bummer. So hopefully the powers that be are making sure that they do everything possible to make sure that there aren't too many casualties with something like this.
Is there... because I don't think I've seen this. Is there like a deadline that this needs to be finalized and approved in order to get it in place for this fall?
I think the deadline has just been, I think it's in July, because that's the plan to, like, once I want to say that it's once the semester ends and then they can begin in July. And it's got something to do with the academic calendar of when that lines up officially. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me directly. But that's the feeling that I've been getting, is that they want to get this done before kids are back on campus, and the official school year can begin. Maybe it also has something to do with when the first 6 months of the year, like Q3, when that starts. If we're going to get into the financial terms of it, maybe that has something to do with it as well, with July being the target.
Yeah, I get, because I guess I think the your fiscal years and
July
like
1st, right?
I don't know if it's the beginning of July or end of July. So I guess that would make sense once they get to a new fiscal year. So they've got plenty of time, obviously, from where it looks like they are. Like, again, they basically just got to get that one thing figured out, exactly how they're going to do that roster limit stuff, and get done. You would think there would be plenty of time to get that done.
Yeah, Claudia Wilkin, the judge on this case. I think everybody's going to be waiting, this week for some sort of official ruling on this, and then it's kind of all systems go, and we'll be entering officially a new era of college athletics.
He is Connor O'Gara, senior national columnist for Saturday Down South, host of the Saturday Down South podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at CJ O'Gara. He joins us every other Tuesday, so we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Gentlemen, appreciate it.
Thank you, Connor. Take care. I want to talk more about that. And again, not all the details have been ironed out. Judge Claudia Wilkin was very complimentary of the deal, but she said these things that she's added need to happen for it to be approved. So we'll give you some details. And that $20.5 million per school, that increases annually during the 10-year lifespan of the deal. So we'll give you some more details about that. Again, nothing signed yet, but it hopefully will happen here in the next, I think, week or so. Well, folks, if you're a basketball player, you know of a basketball player, you have a basketball player in your family, maybe multiple basketball players, and they want to become a better shooter of the basketball, a better all-around player, I got the place for you at Shoot 360 Memphis. It's a revolutionary basketball training facility that provides cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant objective feedback with hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. They've been in the Memphis area now for quite some time. They started out with the facility in Collierville. They've added now the 50,000 square foot facility in Cordova. So 2 different locations that you can go and take advantage of this, again, cutting edge technology. Nothing like it. And that one-on-one expert coaching. Plus they use the analytical world. So you're going to get that instant feedback on what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. For coaches out there, it makes sense to maybe get your teams involved, because over at the Cordova location, they have 3 high school-sized courts, and then they have the 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Just a lot of fun, but really helpful to better your game if you are a basketball player. Shoot 360 Memphis in Cordova, the location 85 Market Street. You can call them at 901-779-3176. And in Collierville on Big Orange Road, 901-316-5500. They offer monthly memberships now, so maybe that's the way to go. Join for a month, see if you like it or not, and then go from there. The future of basketball training is here at Shoot 360 Memphis. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Andy Wise here. For 6 years, I've endorsed Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South as the standard in affordable luxury. Now get this. Pella just got more affordable. 12 months, no interest, no payments on what Consumer Reports has rated the highest quality windows on the planet, plus 50% off installation. That includes consumer guarantees no other window company will ever match. You have my word. You'll make the wise choice when you choose Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelet, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf are one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets, count your blessings, not your calories.
You know, sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Winton Road.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Menas today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call them 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:50 is the time. So we were talking with Connor about what is going to be a game changer for how the business of college sports is run. And it's complicated, to be honest with you. But we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar legal settlement. He mentioned the judge's name, Claudia Wilkin, who has been praised by both sides. But yesterday she declined to provide final approval of the deal between the NCAA and the plaintiff attorneys who are representing past, present, and future Division I athletes. Didn't we just get some kind of... Wasn't there a story yesterday about Chris Jenkins, the former Villanova player, that he's going to sue?
He is suing, yes.
He is suing, okay. But she directed lawyers to address a short list of her remaining concerns within 1 week. Here's what she said. I think it's a good settlement while wrapping up a 7-hour hearing, but she added, don't quote me. So she thinks it's a good settlement, but don't quote me on that. The NCAA has agreed to pay roughly $2.8 billion, that's with a B, in damages to past and current athletes to settle 3 federal antitrust lawsuits that claim the association's rules have limited the athletes' earning potential in various ways. The deal, commonly referred to as the House settlement after lead plaintiff Grant House, also would create a new system for schools to pay players directly starting this summer. In exchange, the NCAA will be allowed to limit how much each school can spend on its athletes per year, an effective salary cap that is expected to start at roughly $20.5 million per school and increase annually during the 10-year lifespan of the deal. Not every school is going to have $20.5 million. The deal also gives the industry's most powerful conferences an increased ability to police the name, image, and likeness deals between athletes and boosters, which is intended to keep teams from using their boosters to circumvent the $20.5 million cap. That's just some of the points of this deal. So in layman's terms, Eli, what are we looking at here? The power conferences, the big-time programs, they're not going to have issues. But what is it going to mean, as Connor was talking about, with the possibility of some schools losing sports?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, the big issue she has of what she said they need to get figured out is the roster limits, and the big issue, her thing is, and what she said, because her thing was about current athletes on these teams that would now lose the spot if suddenly you've got this many guys on a team right now, and you say, okay, well, now you can only have that many people on that roster. Obviously, you got to get rid of them, get down to the roster. What she said, her suggestion, I guess, is all she can really do, is to just grandfather in everybody that's on rosters now. And so you could be over the roster limit for now until you weed it down, and over a certain amount of years, obviously, you get down to the roster limit. Now, that's up to the NCAA on their side to decide if that's what they want to do, or to come up with something that will be acceptable to her to actually approve this settlement, because she is not willing to approve the settlement as it currently stands on the roster limit situation.
She doesn't want it to be abrupt, where all of a sudden a lot of these young men and women don't have a scholarship to play sports anymore. Maybe don't even have a sport.
Yeah, again, they would be off the roster. Like, they'd be
Right,
done. Like,
right. That's what I mean.
It's not about scholarship. It's just, like, you're gone. Like, we don't have a spot. You know, there was a kid from, I don't know where he was from or whatever, and I don't know what sport, but that testified, said, like, I've been told if this roster limit goes into place for next year, I'm out. I'm done. I don't have a spot. So that's the big issue that they have to figure out and get something in this settlement that is acceptable. Whether that, again, is grandfathering in the current athletes, that would be up to the NCAA. That is obviously okay by her if that's the decision they make. But the NCAA's got to be willing to make that decision,
right?
And say, okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's do that, and then it looks like it would be approved. There's also the thing about future athletes, which I don't quite understand the whole thing, but it's basically about them having rights to object to this settlement in when they become college athletes, or I guess I don't know if it's opt out of the settlement, whatever. There is thing about future athletes, but the roster limits seems to be the more difficult thing to get exactly figured out to be acceptable to her to approve it.
Yeah, I think what she's talking about is to make sure that for the future, there aren't loopholes for athletes to object to certain terms of the deal, and then we have more lawsuits, and they want to make sure that they don't have that wiggle room to do something like that in the future. Several objectors who spoke Monday asked Wilkin to reject the settlement because it could lead to the elimination of thousands of roster spots, which we've been talking about, on Division I teams across the country. The NCAA's current rules place limits on the number of scholarships that each team can give to its players. The rule will go away if the settlement is approved, meaning a school can provide a full scholarship to every one of its athletes if it chooses to do so. To keep the wealthiest schools from stockpiling talent, the NCAA has proposed to instead limit the number of players each team can keep on its roster. Many teams will have to cut current athletes from their rosters to comply with the new rule if the settlement is approved. I think fairness is the way to go. I know you're not going to be able to make it equal across the board with power conferences and other conferences. I understand that. But to have roster limits makes sense to me, to keep it somewhat competitive for the little guy out there, as they say. And she said, you don't want these power schools to be stockpiling players because they can do it. We're not here for money. We just want to play and compete. A freshman swimmer at the University of Utah named Gannon Flynn, who spoke at the hearing, said, on paper, this settlement might look good, but thousands of people are losing their spots. The judge, Wilkins, suggested Monday that any current athlete should get to keep their spot, even if it puts a team over the new roster limit, which is what you said, basically grandfather in these athletes that are already a part of a school and have a scholarship. So there's a lot of, it's complicated. This is not easy when you're talking about a $2.8 billion settlement with multiple lawsuits. But this is going to change the direction of the future of collegiate sports. If it hasn't already been changed, as most people would attest to that it has, with the NIL and transfer portal and ever-changing rosters that we're dealing with.
This is the, biggest thing to happen to college sports maybe ever. You're setting up a system where athletes are paid directly by the school. And a lot of money that will continue to increase as time goes along. Again, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made by these schools on how that money is going to be divvied up. With these roster situations, do you do full scholarships for every person on those rosters? All of these decisions that have to be made. This is you can't overstate how large this is in the world of college sports.
Have they even talked about, I know it's been floated out there about making athletes, student athletes in this position, actual employees? Like, who's on the hook for paying Uncle Sam? Are they not taxed, these players? Right now, they're not. These athletes, are they going to be responsible for paying taxes? Or is the school going to be on the hook?
Well, I mean, it's income.
I would think, right?
Yeah.
If they're going to get a W-2 and they're going to have to deal with a 1040 or whatever it is and pay taxes each spring.
If you've got income coming in, you pay taxes on it.
It's a game changer.
The scholarship is not taxed, but that's
right
because that's not money. That's again where athletes who think they got it bad are actually pretty darn good with the scholarship situation. But I mean, NIL money and other money, yeah, you're taxed on it.
Wait, they still go to class? School's still involved?
Well, it doesn't matter whether they go to class or not, but they don't have to pay to whether they or not. That scholarship,
right. No, I understand.
With it not being taxed is a hell of a deal for athletes that they sometimes don't appreciate.
We need to take a break. When we come back, we open up hour 2 with Humdinger's Trivia. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Well, there's some things about the Rendezvous I need to talk about. For example, we make it really easy to park. We have valet parking right at Monroe Street in our alley. We also want to make it easy for people to get to doors. You can now park in our alley right at our front door and put your flashers on. People also forget that we take reservations for 6 or more. And we have a wonderful party room upstairs that can accommodate people for rehearsal dinners, birthday parties, reunions, graduations. Our rooms seat between 25 and 275 people. And everything at the Rendezvous can be packed to go. But we also do catering. See our menu online, and we can even deliver for groups of 15 or more. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at the Rendezvous because we answer our phone ourselves. You'll never hear. Please listen carefully for our menu listing. Press 1 for reservations, press 2 for hours, press 3 for catering, or if you know your party's 9-digit extension number and the first 3 letters of the mother's maiden name, dial it back. Come see us at the Rendezvous. Since 1948, the Rendezvous.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. Miramichi is now open on Mondays, and you'll find the lowest rate is on Thursday. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Now, your big ideas don't have to wait. They have everything they need to come to life because Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas. A technology that loves expanding your business and evolving your passion. We push what technology can do so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work in them by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Tito's handmade vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, the beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for golf. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. We've seen a couple of accidents out here. They're clearing stages. It's trying to build up through the Midtown area just in the last few minutes as we check it out live here on 240 northbound at Lamar all the way up to Union. Traffic still moving at right now. Let's keep it that way. Coming in from Fayette County on 40 westbound here at 269 now. It's trying to load up with a little bit more volume, but it's still looking good. Inbound on Bill Morris out here around Riverdale. Hey, if your yard needs a little bit of help this spring, you want to make it healthier and greener, just call Lawn Solutions. These guys are affordable and they are the best. Lawn Solutions at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:05 the time. Welcome in if you're just tuning in on this Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers with you. We're live and local. We're broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. They're located at 2120 Whitten Road. That's just north of I-40. Currently 45 degrees, a little nippy outside. 57 for your high today, that's it. But at least the sun will be shining tonight. Clear skies with a low of 38 degrees. If you're headed over to watch Memphis and Ole Miss play baseball today, or tonight rather, it's going to be chilly, so make sure you bring a jacket along, maybe even some blankets, to be honest with you, because it will be chilly for the game between the Tigers and the Rebels. Hour 2 of the program is brought to you each and every day by James Gaddis Jewelers. I'll tell you a little bit more about them later on in the hour, but it's Tuesday, so that means time for Humdinger's Trivia.
That's right. Opportunity for somebody to win a $25 gift certificate to Humdingers. And, of course, if it's Tuesday, that means at Humdingers, it's Taco Tuesday with their chicken and fish tacos. Just $2 each every Tuesday, all day long. You can take advantage of that deal. I was just there last Tuesday, as a matter of fact, to enjoy a little Taco Tuesday at Humdingers. Any day, though, is a good day to go by Humdingers and enjoy some of their delicious food. The great grilled fish options that they've got, a lot of healthy things to choose from. From the Po' Boy sandwiches, you can also choose off the sandwich menu with the Po' Boys or the Piri Piri burger. You got the great appetizers like the crab cakes and the Humdinger shrimp and the calamari. You can go to humdingersrestaurant.com, look at the entire menu, get information about catering if you need an event that you need catered. If you have an event that you need catered, they've got information about that right there on the website as well. You can order online to go pick up your food over at Humdingers. Poplar and Massey is where you'll find Humdingers, and you also, again, find them online at humdingersrestaurant.com. If you are the first to answer our trivia question correctly, well, then you'll win that $25 gift certificate to Humdingers. If you've won in the last 30 days, you are not eligible, and you only get one guess. You can answer via text at 360-8255, 360-8255 on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line. Get those answers in. Again, the first correct answer gets the $25 gift certificate to Humdingers. And here is today's question. With points last night being hard to come by in the national championship game in a 65-63 final, Florida knocking off Houston, which team has scored the most points in a national championship game? Which team scored the most points in a national championship game? 360-8255, 901-360-8255. Text in those answers, and the first correct answer gets the $25 gift certificate to Humdingers.
Obviously, we talked a lot of national championship in hour number 1. Connor O'Gara joined us at 7:25 from Saturday down south. But, going back to the discussion of last night's win by Florida over Houston. And look, give credit to Florida for what they did defensively, how they stymied Houston on those last few possessions, especially that last possession. Houston had 19 seconds with the basketball and couldn't get off a shot. But it goes to show you, again, what Florida was able to do throughout this tournament run in being able to make the big plays in crunch time and rally to win games. In the Elite Eight against Texas Tech, they were down 10. They came back and won. In the national semis on Saturday, they were down 9 to Auburn. Came back and won. Last night against Houston, they were down a dozen. Came back and won. And that's the type of team that Florida put out there on the floor. Coming back, facing a little adversity, persevering. We talked about Clayton, how good he was, the most outstanding player in the tournament. But early on in that game, he wasn't. He was being doubled up. Houston had a great game plan for him. Looked to be a little frustrated at first, forcing a couple of shots. But then he did what the team does. Persevered. In the end, made a couple of big shots, a key three, ends up with 11 points, and he fills the stat sheet. So, again, Florida, they earned it. They earned that victory because we've seen it before, not all the time, but we've seen NCAA champions where they've had to face adversity on their road to the Final Four and then were able to survive a game or two and go on to win the title. But you look back at this NCAA tournament, and while there wasn't a lot of buzzer beaters, there were a few. Maryland won with Queen's shot at the buzzer, but there wasn't a ton of them. There wasn't the Cinderella run, and I know that became a narrative for people to complain, oh, this isn't good. You don't have a Cinderella team making a run. Well, sometimes that's good. It's not always great. Sometimes people like the best teams. And we got the best teams, all number one seeds for the first time since 2008. And with what we saw on Saturday in those two terrific national semis and what we saw last night, a 65-63 Florida win, I think it's pretty easy to say that this tournament was fantastic. The Final Four was great. And there's no complaints on my side. I don't think there should be complaints at all.
No, not at all. I mean, again, you get the four best teams in there. You hope they deliver, and you get the types of games that we got. Every game going down to the wire. Big-time players making big-time plays, dramatic comebacks. Like there was everything that you could possibly ask for out of this Final Four. Absolutely great. Again, last night's game wasn't this beautiful basketball, but anytime Houston plays, it's not probably going to be beautiful basketball. That's just not what they do. They got it into their type of game, but it was very close. You get the great comeback, you get the dramatic finish, everything else. You can't ask for anything more than that. A couple of other things from last night's game. First of all, do got to give special mention to Javier Francis for that dunk. I mean, dude, that was darn near ending a life. Now, Elijah Martin, I give him credit for his attempt.
He tried again, yeah.
But he didn't get there. Francis got there and got there easily. I mean, that was unbelievable. I was like, holy cow. Because it happened so, quickly. I was not expecting him to ram that on him, and he just made it look simple to take, get out of my way. And that's a huge dude in his way. Just no, get out of my way. I'm dunking this. And then also, big time shout out for Kelvin Sampson for the in-game interview for Sasquatch State University. Never heard of because
they were NAIA champs one year.
For way too long, the Little Sisters of the Poor have been that go-to school that we want to always bring up. Kudos to Kelvin Sampson. First of all, I wouldn't want to play Sasquatch State. That's a big team. You talk about try and score in the paint against Sasquatch State. That would be impossible. I would have to imagine. But I've never heard that. That was classic. When he said that, I was like, what did he just say? I actually had to rewind it. I was like, did he say Sasquatch? What did he say? And I was like, he said Sasquatch State. This isn't middle of January against Sasquatch State.
Well, let's be honest. They play at times like Sasquatches. They play with that big, brooding, physical air about them. They intimidate you. That's Houston. Did you see the video of their workouts, of their practices? Diving for balls? It's like a football practice, like the old Oklahoma drill.
It's the only way you're going to play.
But you're
for
doing
Kelvin
it with
Sampson.
basketball. But why don't more teams do that? I don't understand. Now, you have to have the Jimmies and the Joes. I understand that. But I don't get it. Teams preach defense, yet we don't see that type of intensity. That's what we see with Houston. All you have to do is look, does he have an instructional tape? Because if I'm a coach, I'm looking at that. And I'm trying to pick and choose whatever I can from that tape to use for my practices to get my team ready. And then they had the picture of the dudes without their shirts, with their six-packs. And, I mean, you talk about guys that are in shape. You are intimidated, I think, when you step on the court against Houston. Now, the difference is with this team and the last several years with Houston is they've gotten a little bit more offense. And because they got that offense, they were able to make this run. They still don't have a plethora of scorers, especially the inside guys. Roberts is still, he's a bull in the china shop. 3 out of 13 from the field. But when he gets it down low, he still has that up and under move and can dunk, as physical as they come. But Cryer was a really good offensive player. Sharp was a good player all year long and unfortunately had a bad game and a bad few possessions there at the end. But I would imagine that he'll continue to add a little bit more from an offensive standpoint. But their bread and butter is defense. And I don't know why more teams don't play, or at least try to play, with that type of attitude and physicality. Because it gets them right there. May not win it all, but it gets them right there every year. And since that move from the American Conference, they jumped right into the fray, into the Big 12, and became the top team. Them and Kansas, and there's some good teams, Texas Tech and Baylor, and they're right there at the top. And they did that in a quick turnaround. That's why I asked that question in hour one. I wonder how Memphis Tigers fans looked at Houston. Did they want them to win last night because they were formerly in the American, and it shows what's possible if Memphis ever got that opportunity to be in a big-time power conference? Or do they look at it and say, nah, we want them to fail, we don't like it, they left us, they deserted us, even though it was the right thing for them to do? Obviously, it's paid dividends.
Well, but again, Houston was a Final Four team before they went to the Big 12.
No, I understand.
So they were already there. They just went to a different conference and stayed really good.
Well, it makes it a little bit easier to retain that once you get to a power conference and have all those resources. It's a lot easier.
There is, but he had done this with that program before he had him at that elite level without being in the major conferences.
Yeah.
He was finding a way to do it. He just gets his guys to play extremely hard, and he recruits guys that will play really hard for him. It's amazing to me. It blows my mind watching the way his guys throw themselves around the court, and especially on the defensive end. It's not easy to get kids to play that hard on the defensive end, but it's just a standard of their program, and going in that is what it's going to be. And so if you don't want to do it, you wouldn't go there. And once they're there, he coaches them hard, and he expects that level of effort out of them. You watch them in that first half. Those guys are just like, it's immediate, like they're out of the gate, like just watching them, how intense they are is crazy. Like they don't ease into a game at all. It is immediately just in your face defensively.
It's a bunch of JYDs, and these are junkyard dogs from the get-go. And that's, to me, again, the combination of having that and having a little bit more of an offensive capability is why Houston's in the position they are. I think Sampson knew that he didn't have enough offense and made sure he added to that. They're not some juggernaut offensively. They are a defensive-oriented team, but they have to be able to put the ball in the basket every once in a while. Now, you look at Memphis, and what Penny Hardaway has tried to do for 7 seasons is to have a top-tier defense. And at times, he's had some really good defensive teams Other times, not so much. Now, he's going out there to recruit defensive players, but it's a different style. It's not that style. And I would like to see, for Memphis' sake, a few more of those guys. Now that he's had a few of those guys, but physically tough, relentless defensive players that are all bought in, mixed in with a few of those terrific shooters and terrific athletes. But I think he's more apt to go for the athlete, not so much the junkyard dog. And I think you need a nice combination. I've always said, right, give me a point guard who is a pass-first point guard, who's an incredible ball handler. He's not going to turn it over. He has the ball in pressure situations and shoots 85% from the free throw line. That's one guy. Then give me a knockdown, absolute, tremendous three-point shooter, if you can find one. But there's those three-point shooters out there. And then give me an absolute blockhead, just a guy who's going to knock you over and is going to point at you when he does. Give me that guy. And then I can fill in the rest of the team. Give me those three spots to start my team. That's how I'm going to start to put together my team. And I think I would have success. So with Memphis, you're looking at more the athlete than necessarily the big physical guy, but they've had him. But I love what Houston's doing. I love what he does. I love the attitude. I love the players who are bought in. That's the most important thing, being bought into a system. Whatever that system is. Penny's system, those players this past season were bought in. The year before, you questioned whether or not they were bought in. And you'd probably come up with the answer that they weren't, that it was more selfishness and not team-oriented. This year's team he put together was fantastic as far as being bought in, which brings us to Memphis and recruiting. So there was a story yesterday from several outlets that Memphis will be visited by Zachary Davis on Friday. He's a 6'7" senior guard, played in 95 of 98 games over his 3 years at South Carolina, so I'm assuming 1 year of eligibility remaining. In those games, he had 38 starts. So of his 98 games, or 95 games he played, 38 starts. He started 19 games in 24-25, so this season. So again, I don't know if this guy they're looking at as a starter or a reserve, just like the kid they got from Temple, Barry, who to me is a rotation guy, is not a starter. It's been a little bit tougher than maybe people thought it would be for Penny coming off a really successful year. You look at 2 years ago when they were able to get a plethora of talent on paper. We didn't know how they would gel. But remember, going into that year, it was Memphis' second weekend, no question, second weekend team. And they fell flat on their face. And they didn't make the tournament. This past year, Penny very quietly, without much fanfare, put together a team. And we looked at that team and said, I don't know. Maybe they'll be good. We have no idea. And anybody who says they did is lying through their teeth. And then they went out there and played great, inspired team chemistry basketball. And faltered in the game against Colorado State. Wasn't their best moment, but it was a season that had a lot of highs. Conference tournament win, regular season championship, and all that. So they went from all this talent to I don't know what they have. And now, right at this moment, and it's very early, it's only April 8th. But I'm looking at going, they barely have enough players to put a team on the court right now. He's got a bunch of scholarships out there. A lot of names associated with Memphis have gone in a different direction. Not sure if Memphis offered or was going to bring that player in, that particular player. But right now they're in a holding pattern because of Haggerty. That's the guy they want to keep, and that's a lot of money that's going to be invested into PJ. And I'm sure PJ's inner circle wants to know who's going to surround him. And it's the chicken and the egg thing. I mean, how much money? Well, do we have the money to spend on these guys? We got to make sure we have the money for him, but he's not committed yet. It's a tough situation. It's almost like the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers, or what's going on with that. You know, we got a draft coming up. Do we take a quarterback? Are we going to get Rodgers? Are we not going to get Rodgers? And that's the deal right now with Memphis with Haggerty. But so you went from 2 years ago where, wow, this is a second weekend team, to last year going, I had no idea, to this year going, they can't be good, can they? I mean, they have really no players right now. But He'll put a team together. Some of these players are going to commit. They'll get it figured out. But for right now, it's a little bit rough for Tigers fans out there because this year, like 2 years ago, the names have popped out there with the association with the Tigers. And then you see, oh, gosh, they went to this place or they stayed at this school. Whereas this past year, you never heard anything until it was announced that this guy was coming to Memphis.
We've got a couple of texts that we will get to on the national championship game. If you want to get in, you can at 360-8255, 360-8255. We do have a correct answer, Elijah. You will your tiebreaker services will be needed for Humdinger's trivia today, which I figured it would be the case. Fairly easy question today. Gave people a chance, a little easier chance. The question is, which team has scored the most points ever in a national championship game? And that, of course, the folks who said Loyola Marymount. Loyola Marymount scored a lot of points, but they didn't play in the championship game. UNLV, the Runnin' Rebs, with their 103 points against Duke back in 1990 when they absolutely blew Duke out in that game. UNLV, the correct answer this week. And I've got a 5-way tie.
Wow.
For you, Elijah.
Is that our first ever 5-way?
A lot of folks came in quickly here, all with that same timestamp. So, Elijah, you've got to decide between who, what, why, when, or how.
I like this one. This is a question that I ponder quite often. I'm going to go.
One you've put a lot of thought into. So I don't often get one where you've actually put a lot of thought into this before. So here we go. We've got one that you've actually thought about.
The most important thing to me is the why. So I'm going to go with the why.
Okay. Why is that the most important thing?
It's
why
the
did you pick
all-consuming
why?
thought.
Why did you go with why? All right. Why it is. And we will be contacting our winner and letting you know. If you do not get contacted by us, that means either, if you had the correct answer, that means you either weren't quite in time to get in the tiebreaker or you lost the tiebreaker. But we'll be contacting our winner, letting you know how you get your $25 gift certificate to Humdinger.
All right, when we come back, we're talking Grizzlies. It's going to be a free-for-all over the next 6 days as it's the last week of the regular season and still a lot of different things up in the air for teams, whether they're going to make it into the playoffs, the play-in, in the postseason at all. We will talk about the Grizzlies game tonight and the Hornets and why the NBA schedule makers didn't do the Grizzlies any favors for some of their games later on in the week. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Ken Garland, you are in your 72nd year of business. Your son William is now joining you. What do you think is the key to your longevity in the building business?
My dad started the business in 1965, and I think being on the job sites daily and being accessible to homeowners has been a key to our success.
You guys have a work ethic, as you like to say. You're not hiring people to be on the site. You guys are there every day.
We interact with the subcontractors multiple times a day on each job site. You know, I think that has been a key, as well as using the same subcontractors 20-plus years in most cases.
When you talk about materials, what is the first thing you're thinking about when somebody comes to you to build a home?
we're just trying to meet the expectations of the client and the homeowner and the architect and give them what their dream is.
When you get a Ken Garland home, what do you guarantee?
We'll be there after the job is finished. We're still accessible to all our clients.
Now I need to know, how do I get a hold of Ken Garland?
You can reach us at kengarland.com.
Owning your own home is wonderful, and buying your own home can be wonderfully easy. If your agent is Margie O'Neill of Remax Expert, Margie has over 20 years of experience in helping folks just like you find their new home. Buyer's market, seller's market, up and down markets, Margie has sold them all with a dedication that makes it easy for you to buy your new home. Margie O'Neill at Remax.net. That's MARGIE.ONEAL at Remax.net. Or call 901-685-6000 for your new home. Margie O'Neill makes it easy.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelet, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf are one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
This traffic report on Sports 56 is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South Pella Windows. The standard is affordable luxury.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's got a little bit heavier southbound on Austin P, trying to get up on that ramp here in the last few minutes. It's only going to get busier there on that side of town. It's also picking up a little bit more on 385 Billmore Parkway as you come in from Collierville all the way up to Riverdale there on 385. Still moving up through South Haven at the moment, 55 going north. All that traffic coming up from the south. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry wants you to know they are your diamond engagement ring headquarters for this bridal season that's coming up. Make sure you check with them first. They're at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
To reveal the full spectrum of dazzling color.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
All right, you got some text to read, and then we'll get to the Grizzlies. Got a few more things from college basketball that I want to dive into as well. And then we begin another season with Mickey Barker at 9:05 as we talk golf, city golf, county golf, state golf, and the Masters. Of course, PGA Tour talk as well with Mickey.
Text here on the Sissies Log Cabin listener says, call me crazy, but I feel that weird mini foul fest that Houston went on around the 10-minute mark was the catalyst for the Florida comeback. Yeah, well, they had the one possession where they got 3 fouls, I think, on one possession. Because early in that second half.
Technical, too, wasn't there? Somewhere?
Early in the second half, well, that was on Florida. The Florida got all those fouls early, and Houston was in the bonus with, 14 minutes left,
right.
I think it was.
Right.
But then Houston had that foul.
Was that the 3 in 16 seconds or something?
They got 3 in one possession. You know, they gave up the 2 3-point plays in there, the one with Clayton and the one with Houck. I mean, yeah. And then all of a sudden the fouls were even. Like the foul advantage, it looked like they had. Plus, they had key guys getting in foul trouble at that time. So, yeah, there was no doubt that little stretch there where Houston racked up some fouls in a hurry was a big part of that because it got Florida in the bonus. And you put Clayton at the line, that dude is absolutely not missing a free throw. And most of their guys stepped up and made free throws in that situation. So, yeah, there's no doubt that was huge. Again, the way the officials just called that game in the second half, it was an absolute foul fest the entire half.
Well, let me say this. The texter, I think, is right on. And we talked about the officials in the first half. Don't get me wrong. The officials didn't cost a team, in this case Houston, the game. Okay, they didn't cost them the game. But I do not like the way they officiated a game in which they called 4 fouls in the first half and then 1,000 in the second half, and both teams played the same style that they did both halves. It wasn't like in the first half it was a feeling out process, like a boxing match. Nobody threw punches. They were as physical as they were in the second half. in the first half, and they weren't calling fouls. So instead of consistency, they changed. There's no question in my mind at halftime officials look at a box score. And they made up their mind that they're going to call more fouls in the second half. They're going to call it close. So they changed what they did in the first half. Now, once I think they started to call a bunch of calls on Florida, they made up for it by calling a bunch on Houston. I'm not saying they weren't fouls, but again, it was just so unequal. The way it was, bunches for one team, then bunches for another team. No fouls first half, tons of fouls in the second half. It's not consistent. And all I want to see from officials is consistency. Again, it didn't cost Houston the game. Houston cost Houston the game. But I didn't like the way that game was officiated.
I just lost that one. Hold on here. Where did that go? Raider Corey texted, says, as an alum of Memphis, I care less about what conference Houston came from. I was rooting for Kelvin Sampson to get his first national championship as a 69-year-old veteran. Good man and an outstanding coach.
Yeah, I was rooting for him too.
I think there probably were a lot of people around the country wanting to see him get one for the success that he's had and everything else. Seems like a pretty good guy as far as that is concerned. But yeah, it was that's a heartbreaking way to lose once again for that school. Again, you go back to 1983 and Lorenzo Charles, and then now have this on that resume as well in championship games. But yeah, I would have had I would have been happy for Kelvin Sampson. Would you consider Kelvin Sampson the best coach without a title?
He's certainly in the discussion. There's no question about it. I'd have to think about, again, who doesn't have titles, but absolutely. By the way, is Florida now 3 for 3 in championship games? Have they lost a championship game? Does anyone know? Elijah, do you know? They won the back-to-back early in this century. Is that the only times they've been in, the 3 times now?
I don't.
Because Houston now 0-3.
No, they lost a title game.
With Donovan?
It was, I'm trying to think who was on that team. I remember them losing a title game. It wouldn't have been, it wasn't Mike Miller's team, was it?
We'll look that up.
I know they've lost it. I remember them losing a championship game. I'm almost positive they lost a championship game. But I don't, I know Mike made the buzzer beater in that tournament. Did they go to the championship game that year? I can't remember, or who it would have been on that team. I know they went to the Final Four with Mike White, but they didn't make the championship game that year. I think they lost Final Four that season. But I'm pretty sure they lost it.
Yeah, I don't remember or recall them saying anything yesterday on the broadcast. They may have. I may have missed it, but yeah, we'll double check on that.
But if you're talking current coaches, best coaches without a championship.
Mark Few?
Yeah, I mean, Few would be there. Kelvin Sampson would be in that conversation. Who else are the really good coaches now that don't have a championship?
Does Painter have one? Purdue hasn't.
No.
Juan, right? Painter's a good coach, really good coach. Okay, let's think about this for a second.
2000, they lost to Michigan State, Brett Norsworthy tells me.
2000, they lost to Michigan State. Wow. So since 2000, they've been in 4 national championship games, and they're 3-1.
I remember them losing it. Now I gotta see who was on that team. I want to see who that Florida team was.
And the 2 years they won back-to-back was what years?
6 and 7.
6 and 7. So, yes, obviously no players from 2000 were on the 6 and 7 teams. Other coaches around.
If it was today's college basketball, they could have been, but not in those days.
Yes, that's right. There was no COVID year back then. And again, I'm going off the top of my head here. Let me think about this. As far as.
It wasn't Mike Miller's team.
Good memory.
I guess that would have been the tournament he hit the buzzer beater against Butler, I would assume. But that was him and Udonis Haslem and that group. Teddy Dupe, my guy Teddy Dupe.
Teddy Dupe, yes.
Was on that
team. Absolutely.
Matt Bonner.
Best coaches current.
Donnell Harvey.
Oh, yeah, I remember that team well now.
All
All right, you got any more text? Read the text because I'm going to look
I
this
would
up.
say
I'm curious.
I would say Sampson. I would think it would come down to between those two guys.
There might be somebody we're missing, though. Okay, this list, Rick Barnes.
I would put Sampson a few ahead of him.
Yeah, I'd put Sampson ahead of him, too. But Rick Barnes, this list says Matt Painter, who I brought up. Some say Mick Cronin. But Mick Cronin's not, I wouldn't consider better than Kelvin Sampson. I would only put, I think, Mark Few ahead of Kelvin Sampson. This is an all-time thing I'm looking at right now. It's got Thad Matta. It's got Majerus.
Well, Thad Matta would qualify now. He's active.
That's right. That's right. But not with Ohio State. Let me see if I got anywhere. Yeah, Lefty Drizel, certainly all-timer as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, I would say right now it comes down to Few or Sampson.
Man, Carnesecca, John Chaney. You look at these great coaches that never won. Huggy Bear. Wait a minute. What list is this? Because it's got Calipari on there. Calipari's got a national championship. This is stupid. When was this made? I think it's a list from 1912. But anyway, yeah, I would think Sampson's one of a handful of guys I'd put on that list. I'd probably go Mark Few, number one. Any more texts?
No, that is it.
Yeah, Brett says Eddie Sutton. Yeah, Eddie Sutton was on that list I was looking at. But as far as active guys, I would say Few, Sampson. I would put those two. What was I going to say? Oh, the NBA, this is ESPN.com. This is Gavoni. And he's put together now his updated mock draft after the championship game last night. And sure, there's players that haven't officially announced they're going yet, but you know Cooper Flagg's going. So this is the top 10. And it's Cooper Flagg going number one to Utah. We don't know if Utah will have the number one pick, but Utah in this mock, because they have the worst record, number one. Dylan Harper, 2 to Washington. Ace Bailey, 3 to Charlotte. Isn't it crazy to think about the fact that Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey played on the same Rutgers team and did not make the NCAA tournament?
It's hard to believe.
It really is. Well, we remember when Ben Simmons that year with LSU and they didn't even make the tournament. Now we understand why, because Simmons is not good. No. I mean, it was all the hubbub about them not making. These are two guys. This is two guys picked to be possibly 2 and 3 in the draft. VJ Edgecombe from Baylor, 4 to New Orleans. Trey Johnson from Texas, 5 to the Sixers. Jeremiah Fears from Oklahoma, number 6 to Brooklyn. Then you have Kaman Malawach from Duke, who we just saw, to Toronto, number 7. Con Canepo from Duke going to the Spurs at number 8. But your theory is that the Spurs will somehow win the draft lottery and get Cooper Flagg, correct?
That's what generally happens with the Spurs.
You have number 9, Kasparis Achonis from Illinois going to Portland. And then at number 10,
Jack Achonis.
Jack Achonis. I know I'd screw that up. And then number 10, Colin Murray Boyles from South Carolina going to the Rockets. I guess the Rockets own a pick right now that they're probably going to be right around there in the draft. But you look at it and you go, wait a minute. ACC, Big 10, Big 12. Okay, there's the SEC with Texas. There's the SEC with Oklahoma. 2 newcomers. Duke, Illinois, South Carolina. So if you take out the 2 newcomers that just joined, Texas and Oklahoma, of the top 10 players, there's only one from the SEC, and that's from South Carolina, who finished, were they dead last? I think in the SEC?
Yeah, I think they were last.
I think LSU was ahead of them. Yes, that's interesting.
But what all those guys, well, I guess except for Murray Boyles, he's not a freshman, is he? No, he's at his second. He was a sophomore or junior, sophomore. So, but all those other guys, freshmen.
Yeah,
it is. Get the young folks. Get the 18 and 19-year-olds.
Well, I had somebody text me yesterday, and they're like, "Is this true? Is Gillespie getting $3 million from Tennessee? He came from Maryland." I don't know. It's out there. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't shock me. And then they're saying, well, what about the NBA? I go, here's the thing. If you're a surefire NBA guy, if you're Cooper Flagg, and that's always been your dream, you're gone. And he's gone. I mean, nobody's pretending that he's not. You're gone. But if you're a marginal NBA player, maybe you'll make it, maybe you won't make it, you are looking to stay in college in this day and age. And they couldn't get out of college any faster back in the day before NIL. They were out of here at the drop of a hat. They went to school for a year because they had to go to school for a year. They couldn't go right to the pros or be eligible for the NBA draft right out of high school, like it was at one time with LeBron. Now it's a whole different story. Now find me a way to stay. Wait a minute. Didn't I play junior college? Doesn't that count? Shouldn't that not count against me? I want another year because you're able to stockpile a bunch of money now. If you are a good player, if you are a really good college player, but you're not sure about the NBA. That's why these players are staying as long as they're Dickinson. We played 20 years in college basketball. I think he's finally done. These guys will stick around. Baycott stayed that final year at North Carolina because they can make a lot of money, and we're not sure whether or not they can make it in the NBA. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Grizzlies Talk. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, or personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktimemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
Rain or shine, whatever the weather, tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Falcon tires. Go to TireRack.com/Colin to see their Falcon test results, tire ratings, and reviews. And be sure to check out their special offers. They always have them. TireRack.com. It's the way tire buying should be.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now, back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Got a text from Chris, and he says, and we're double checking, but I think he might be right, that Florida now winning that title is the only school to have won 3 men's basketball titles and 3 college football titles, national titles.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot that have won 3 basketball titles, and the North Carolinas and Dukes and Kentuckys and UCLAs of the world aren't real good in football.
Right.
Consistently.
Indiana.
So I would make sense. Kansas doesn't have a great football tradition of winning titles. So I would guess that would probably be true.
Their tradition for many, many years was not winning a game. That's how bad that was in football.
I don't know how many. I don't know if Villanova's won many FCS titles.
I think they may have won one, though, FCS title, but I'm not even 100%. Howie Long played for Villanova. Do you know that? Most famous alum from football. Howie Long. All right, so the Grizzlies tonight in Charlotte to take on the Hornets. The Grizzlies winning 2 in a row now on the road, and will go for 3 before they return for Thursday's game against Minnesota. They're 46-32, so 4 games left, and they're in a logjam with 700 other teams battling for position for the postseason. The Hornets are 19-59, and they're just bettering themselves for position for the draft lottery. LaMelo Ball is out. He's done for the season. So this is a game in which the Grizzlies, you would think, should win and win comfortably. John Morant, according to Tomas Isolo, is expected back. He's dealt with some sort of illness, missing the Pistons game on, Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Saturday night. And so hopefully Ja's back in the fold. But
does he do it? Does he do it tonight? Do we get the guns? Does he bust the guns out again? Or does the fine stop him from doing it?
I would not be surprised if we saw a gun.
If you did it right after the warning, you had to know you probably were going to get fined. Like, why not do it again now? Like, you're clearly just defying the NBA, so why would you not do it again, quite frankly?
What was it, $75,000?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care if you're Jeff Bezos rich. I would never give away money like that. I mean, it's just stupid to just give away money like that, to be spiteful. Here you go. Here's $75,000 here. Here's $150,000 here. Here's $1 million here. It's like nothing. Not me. Now, I don't know. Maybe money would change me. I don't think so, though. I'm who I am. But man, oh man, yeah, it would be interesting if he did that tonight. You're right. They've had a game of cushion because he didn't play the last game in Detroit, so it's calmed things down, calmed the waters, if you will. But I'll be curious to see. That's a good point, Eli, whether or not he does that tonight.
Now I kind of want him to do like the bow and arrow thing. Like I want him to do some other weapon of choice and see what they'll say.
Sheath the sword.
Have an invisible ninja. Have an invisible ninja sticks. Ninja, like the what do you call those? Nunchucks.
Nunchucks.
I like putting the sword away. Like I just find some other weapon and be like, okay, I didn't do go gun. I've listened to you guys. And like take it or do it like right at the other bench. Like do the sword right at the other bench or something and say
it was Three Musketeers.
Hey, it wasn't a gun. You guys, you told me I couldn't do a gun, even though many other guys in the NBA do the same thing I'm doing. You guys are finding me for it. I chose to put my gun away. I pulled out my bow and arrow. Am I okay with that?
They're remaking Three Musketeers. I'm auditioning, so I'm just doing my swashbuckling. How about hand grenade? Have they outlawed that? Can you do the hand grenade?
I think you can.
Pull the pin out, throw the hand grenade with the
We don't know what you can do because everybody else
call me.
People have been doing, and he's been doing this thing all year long, and suddenly it became a problem. So nobody knows what you can do.
Or he could do this. Nothing. That's a possibility, but
That's
I don't know.
Lame, though.
Yeah, I don't know if Ja can hold back from doing nothing. So again, tonight it's Charlotte. Should take care of business. Now, after this game, they would have 3 games, or they have 3 games remaining. 2 at home. They play Thursday at 8:30. Yes, folks. Maybe you're hearing this for the first time if you have tickets. It's an 8:30 tip on Thursday night against Minnesota in a huge game. And then they got to turn around and fly to Denver and play Friday night back-to-back games in altitude after playing an 8:30 game. Saturday they'll be off. Sunday they're home in the afternoon, play Dallas to wrap up the regular season. The NBA schedule makers did not do the Grizzlies any favors playing an 8:30 game on Thursday night. Now, did they know it was 8:30 before they probably didn't know that at that time, right? Is this like a special game, right? A TNT game or
TNT,
ESPN?
yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if they knew that when they made the schedule, but either way, you're playing 8:30 at home on Thursday night, flying to Denver, and then playing Denver Friday night in the altitude. That's not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, and yeah, it makes it a little tougher, but whether it was a 7 o'clock game, I mean, I'm not sure that an hour and a half makes a big difference, but it may. It's a brutal situation to have to go to Denver for the second of a back-to-back anytime. And so, yeah, it makes that Denver game very difficult. And obviously, both of those games are very important because those are two of the teams that you're tied with right now in the standings. So it makes the Minnesota game probably even that much more important to make sure you get that win because the Denver game is going to be extremely difficult out there. So, yeah, we shall see. But, yeah, that is a brutal schedule that they have. The Thursday game, that 8:30 game against Minnesota, that'll be the final regular season game that TNT shows.
Oh, wow. How about that? Stats tells me it was originally set for 8:30. So on the schedule, those schedule makers.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the TNT from the it was on TNT schedule.
Yeah, so an 8:30 at home on Thursday, turn around, play in Denver the next night. That's crazy. So, again, you look at the standings. There were only 2 games in the league last night and really not anything as far as anything of significance as far as the Western Conference race. But we're looking at 3rd place through 8th place in the West, separated by 2 games, with each team having 4 games remaining. Actually, Denver has 3 games left. But the Lakers have 4, the Clippers have 4, the Warriors have 4, the Timberwolves have 4, the Grizzlies have 4 games left. 2 games separates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. Right now, again, as we talked about yesterday, the Grizzlies are in 8th, even though they have the exact same record as Minnesota and Golden State. And the Clippers. I mean, that's just nuts. 78 games into the season, 4 teams have identical records at 46 and 32. But the Grizzlies and Minnesota on Thursday night, late tip, is going to be a huge game. As I said yesterday, it's going to also be important as to who is available for all these teams. We know that it looks like Jamal Murray will not be playing for Denver. He hasn't been playing. He's missed the last, I think, 5 games. And they said yesterday that he should be available for the playoffs. So that would mean that he wouldn't be available Friday night. So that helps. But they do have a guy named Jokic. He's pretty good. So we'll see what happens with that. Real quick, we will open up hour 3 talking golf with our friend Mickey Barker, another season with Mickey. Speaking of golf, tonight, the Masters dinner at Augusta National. And so Scotty Scheffler, for a second time, gets to pick the menu. Do you want to know what's on his menu? Or do you remember what it was the first time?
No.
He's a Texan. Scotty Scheffler's Masters Champions Dinner menu. Appetizers, cheeseburger sliders, served Scotty style. I don't know what that means. I think you eat them and you get arrested. Firecracker shrimp. Papa Chef's meatball and ravioli bites. With cheese and tomato basil sauce. First course, Texas-style chili. With cheddar cheese, jalapenos, and corn chips. And then your main course, you get a choice of wood-fired cowboy ribeye or blackened red fish. Family-style macaroni and cheese, jalapeno creamed corn, soy-glazed Brussels sprouts, chipotle lime roasted sweet potatoes. And then Scotty, for his dessert, a warm chocolate chip skillet cookie, vanilla bean ice cream. So there you go. That's the dinner they'll be eating tonight at the Masters. It's the annual Masters dinner. Tomorrow will be the par 3 contest, and the 2025 Masters will get underway on Thursday. Big shout out to our second hour sponsor, James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick, and on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5. Saturday, 10 to 4. They're closed on Sunday. And as I mentioned, James and Linda coming back from Antwerp, where they have purchased a bunch of new diamonds. So for all you folks who are planning on getting engaged this spring or summer, maybe in the fall, you're looking for that beautiful special engagement ring, this will be the place for you, as it always is. James Gaddis Jewelers, with those beautiful diamond rings, engagement rings, and personally designed wedding sets. But for all your jewelry needs, make it James Gaddis Jewelers. They are full-service jewelers with 2 bench jewelers ready to serve you. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick, and on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. Mickey Barker next to open up Hour 3. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Showboats fans, the boats are back in action with a 1:30 kickoff on Saturday, April 12th at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium as they take on the Houston Roughnecks in a special Memphis wrestling-themed game, the Showboats Showdown. Come see all the football action of the UFL and enjoy wrestling matches pregame and a special halftime main event. More football, more wrestling, more Showboats. Get your tickets today at UFLShowboats.com. That's UFLShowboats.com. Go Boats!
Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair because they just don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance carriers each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. This is why you call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates and consultation and love to assist homeowners with their claims. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, and diagnosing problems is second to none. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. And the best part of all you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, Certainteed, Owens Corning, and even Mulehide. We offer best-in-class warranties on all of our jobs, up to 50 years. When it comes to roofs and restoration, call Metro Builders to schedule your free inspection. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Spring is here, and it's the perfect time to give your home a little love with Choate's $93 spring deals. Got a slow or smelly drain? We'll clear it for just $93, or it's free if we can't. Also, your home's electrical system is working 24/7 behind the walls, and an inspection from Choate's can help catch hidden dangers before they become big problems. We're talking about outdated or overloaded panels, loose wiring that can spark fires, improper grounding or GFCI protection, breaker issues, flickering lights, and more. Our licensed electricians will perform a full home safety check, identify risks, and give you a plan to keep your family safe and your power running strong. All for just $93. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com to book your appointment today. Choates Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical. Let our family serve your family.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village. Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342.
There's no place like home, Town Village.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Finishing up a couple of accidents we had out here a little bit earlier. It's trying to build with a little bit more volume. Just in the last few minutes, more volume today than it was yesterday. On 40 West, coming past Germantown Parkway, down to Sycamore View Road, 240 East and westbound. Over here at Mill Branch, still looks pretty decent. There's been plenty of radar out here over in Arkansas this morning as you come in from Forest City there on I-40 approaching West Memphis. So watch for troopers out this morning. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry is your diamond engagement ring headquarters this bridal season that's just around the corner. Go by and see them today at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56.
Welcome back, everybody. 9:04 the time. Final hour for us today here on Sports 56 Mornings, the Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. It's Masters Week. We're going to be talking golf with Mickey Barker in just a second. Right now, it doesn't feel like it's golf weather, 45 degrees, but it's going to warm up to 57 today. The sun will be shining, so get on out there, bring the sticks and play 18. Tonight, 37 for a low, though clear skies tomorrow. Looks to be a Chamber of Commerce type day here in the Memphis area. 72 degrees for your high and sunny skies. Weather like that is San Diego, pretty much 365. Hour 3 of the program brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. They're located at 2356 Goodman Road. That's in Horn Lake, Mississippi. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock. You can call them at 662-469-9350. They specialize in flooring and carpeting. SPC, WPC, vinyls, backsplashes for your kitchens and bathrooms, plantation shutters and blinds, and so much more. They sell at wholesale. Skip the middleman and save you lots of money in the process. When you call, when you stop by, say hi to Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins. Tell them you heard it here on Sports 56 Mornings. You're going to get yourself a discount. Military and first responders, you always get 10% off, and they will come to you, and they will get the job done in 2 weeks. So if you need new flooring, new carpeting, make sure you go with Jenkins Floors and More because they sell it wholesale. Skip the middleman, save you lots of money in the process. Go see them at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake or call them at 662-469-9350. It's another season with the Mick. He is the administrator of golf for the city of Memphis, Hall of Fame golfer from Lipscomb University. You can follow Mickey on Twitter at MickeyBarker1. Mickey Barker, back for another season. How are you, sir?
Good morning, guys. How are y'all?
Doing pretty good, man. We got a lot to talk about. Again, this morning, you feel the temperature. It's not golf season yet, but it's going to warm up today, and hopefully we don't get a lot of rain anymore for maybe like 6 years after all the rain we had. I got to ask you this, though, before we dive into what's happening with City Golf. I had mentioned at the end of the second hour the menu for tonight's Masters dinner that Scotty Scheffler puts together. He don't have to cook it, though, right?
Right.
He doesn't have to. Okay, just making sure. I'm kidding there. Mickey, if you won the Masters, give me your menu. What are you having them serve up to all the other winners of the green jacket?
Wow, what a tough question. And Scotty's menu is fantastic.
Isn't it?
It's just like him. It's very straightforward, nothing fancy.
American, red-blooded American. Yeah.
Absolutely. But, I would absolutely go with my wife's lasagna. She'd have to send the recipe down there to the chef and let him cook it up, and hopefully he could make the sauce like hers. But absolutely her lasagna.
Does she do any kind of great dessert, too?
Unfortunately, too many of them.
Or maybe she has to put a dessert together as well. Okay, so thanks again for being here. Another season. We look forward to having special guests each and every week. And, whenever you can get them scheduled, we've enjoyed having different people on over the course of last year. We went from the Masters all the way up to the end of the Tour Championship or the playoffs. So the rain is the first story, I think, that comes to mind about local golf. We've had so much rain, not just the last 4 or 5 days, which was epic, but we've had a lot of bad weather. There have been a number of days where we've had cold, and I passed by Galloway because I live near there where the greens have been covered up. They've been tarped. How are we doing with the courses via the weather?
The golf courses themselves have come through the winter good. They've weathered the storm to say, especially this weekend. I was really worried that we'd have some washouts or some major trees down from all the storm that came through and the amount of rain that we got, which was somewhere over 12 inches, especially there in Midtown.
My gosh.
But we came through in pretty good shape. As I was saying, Pine Hill will probably be a month drying out there because it's so low in some of the areas. But by the end of the week, if we don't get any more rain, we should be back off the cart path. We decided to go off the cart path at Galloway and Audubon last Tuesday. We got to do that for all of 2 days before the monsoons came. But for the most part, we've come through the winter pretty good shape. Now, play-wise, we've been very low. With 20 days in February and another probably 10 days in January, that we were closed, and so the amount of rounds that we've done over the winter is low. Now, we don't plan to have a lot of rounds in those months, and you can make those up pretty quickly. But we've come through okay, but we are definitely ready for spring to be here in the green grass.
Along that line, obviously, at Audubon, this is the first, with play and everything else, through a winter, through all of this type of weather. And we put out there, it seems in great shape. You happy with the way Audubon has held up through this?
We are. We're very happy. The Tahoma 31 is fantastic grass, very much like the Latitude at Pine Hill. It greens up a little bit quicker. It's a little closer to what you would think of zoysia grass, how quickly it greens up. So it has really started coming. The fairways look fantastic. Greens are in good shape. We're pretty happy with it given the amount of play. We did keep the carts off the path or on the path over the winter just to give it a little bit more, just be a little more careful with it.
Sure.
As we're growing that root base.
Is there anything else that you can do over the winter months to the course? You just kind of let Mother Nature do her thing and then regroup and get ready for the spring and summer.
The big thing is going into the winter, early to mid-fall, letting the grass come up. You'll see greens get slower. You'll see fairways get longer, so that we give it a little bit of cushion going into the winter. Because if you're cutting your greens down at normal summer height and you get a first frost, the grass is not going to grow the rest of the winter. So we try to bring those heights up going into the winter as a precaution.
With the covering of the greens, is that basically anything below freezing? Like how is that decision made?
Yeah, anything in the mid-20s overnight, we are going to cover pretty much, especially on our newer greens. Now, if we get a one-off where it's 50 degrees the day before, you're going to be 25 that night, and it's going to be 55 the next day. We don't cover. But especially if it's going to be below 40 the following day, and we get a low to mid-20s, we're definitely covering the green.
Last year when you joined us for the first time, a lot of the talk was Audubon and opening of Audubon and all that. What's in the game plan, or what have you guys already discussed about this year? Are we going to see any changes, anything different this year? Or is it just a business as usual?
This will be a pretty normal year if you call working out of a temporary trailer and the things that we're doing at Audubon as normal. This is the year we're we're going through the design plans on the new clubhouse at Audubon, which is going to be a major project that if everything goes well, we should be breaking ground somewhere between January and April of 26. This is the design phase. 4F Design, Scott Fleming, they have been contracted to design the clubhouse, which will be a joint venture between the city of Memphis with our Memphis Public Links and the First Tee of Tennessee Memphis branch, which is a part of the Tennessee Golf Foundation. It's going to be a joint clubhouse. It will be their permanent home for the First Tee.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be a fantastic. The way the drawings are, unfortunately, I can't show the drawings on radio, but it's really going to be a fabulous final piece of that block there at Audubon. You have the wonderful tennis center, you have the Botanic Gardens, you have the Dixon, and now you have a great golf course, and you're going to have a clubhouse that fits in perfectly with it.
As far as your events go, what's the first event that you guys will have coming up, and is there new events for this year?
Yeah, a little bit. We've already had the Shamrock Scramble at Overton, which is around St. Patrick's Day. We had of course, it rained on St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Green rain, right?
So yeah, it was green, and so we had to push it back a week. We still had over 80 players for a 2-man 9-hole scramble at Overton Park. We have our normal set of tournaments all year, 15 events, where we'll have championships at each of the golf courses at Galloway, Audubon, Pine Hill, Fox Meadows. We'll have those championships. We have added this year. We have added what we're calling the Mad Greenskeeper, Mad Grocer Scramble at Overton. We are going to be working with the Mad Grocer, which is a restaurant in Concourse, in Crosstown Concourse, about bringing some wraps and things to have at the clubhouse. And so we're going to make it kind of like a superintendent's revenge. If you've heard.
Gosh.
So with those greens at Overton.
Are those greens? Gosh.
This will be a blast. Yeah.
I was wondering why it was called Mad.
You could
I was
do
wondering why
some
people were so
nightmarish
upset.
stuff on those greens.
Absolutely. Rob Roy is our golf course superintendent there at Overton Park 9, and he's a little diabolical when it comes to things like that, and so we're looking forward to what he can come up with on that day.
You also have a girls golf summit on June 7th.
That is our big event for the year. One of the pillars of Mayor Young's platform is youth involvement and doing things for youth, getting them involved in stuff that will keep them out of trouble. So one of the big things we're going to have on June 7th will be a girls golf summit. It will be all morning of instructions. We'll have girls from age 9 all the way up to 18, bring them in for several hours of instruction. We've got Mackenzie Mack, who used to be the First Tee director. She has now moved on to Callaway. She works in the corporate office at Callaway. She's a PGA member. She's an LPGA member.
Nice.
And she came up through the First Tee. She's going to come back and speak to the girls about all the possibilities of what they can do in golf. You don't have to be a great player. You can be a golf professional. You can be, work like she is for Callaway or different companies like that. We'll have local college golf coaches there talking about the opportunities for scholarships, things like that. So it's going to be a really big day.
Is my girl Jennifer Jordan going to be there?
She's going to be there.
She better be there.
Yeah, she will be there for sure.
Do you continue, Mickey, to see more golfers that are either minorities or women? Do we continue to see, because it seems like it's been in the last 10 years a definite uptick? Do we continue to see growth in those areas?
We do. We continue to see a lot of growth in that areas. The diverse population that we have here in Memphis, obviously you're going to get that, but we see a lot of tremendous amount of women playing Audubon, which, and it's, having been doing this in the city for 24 years, you pretty much know, or you recognize a lot of the golfers.
Sure.
When I go to Audubon, I'm seeing ladies and women that, I don't recognize from our golf courses. And so we're bringing in a lot of female players at our courses. Pine Hill the same way. We have a large ladies group that plays once a week out there in a league. And so, yeah, we're getting a lot of diverse players.
That's good, and that's great for you guys. As many can get involved as possible, right?
Absolutely. With 7 golf courses and plenty of play to go around, we can use it for sure.
What was the general reaction now that we've had a summer and a fall at Audubon? I know how much I like it. What was the general reaction from the public?
Oh, it was fantastic. When I was last here, we were in the middle of August when we just opened.
Right.
We ended up doing over 6,000 rounds in the month of August at Audubon, which was really close to maxing it out.
I was going to say, how much can you even possibly do?
You can do a little bit more than that, but not a whole lot. And Bruno said, that's enough.
No mas.
Yeah, but it obviously it slowed down a little bit, as months went on, but it has been fantastic. The driving range has just been way above expectations. We go out there in the afternoons, we do some clinics, and the range is just packed. They're out there hitting balls every day and just having a great time.
The short course, too?
Short course has been exactly what we thought it would be. It's kids, it's older folks coming out and playing. It's dads bringing 3 or 4 kids and going around there, and it has been perfect for what we thought it would be.
Mickey, are there any major projects beyond the clubhouse at Audubon for the future that you guys already discussed, or is that on a holding pattern?
Well, we're always talking. What are we going to do going forward? One of the obviously with now that it's been almost 25 years since we renovated Galloway, there are some things that we have to fix there. At some point, Riverside Golf Course down on the bluff. We're looking at plans for it. What can we do? It's a 9-hole golf course on the side of McKellar Lake. The soil's not all that great. It really wants to slide off in the lake. But what can we do to upgrade Riverside to make it more appealing to the folks that live downtown? So yeah, we're always looking. Obviously at some point Fox Meadows is going to have a clubhouse. That clubhouse has been there since forever, and
they have a good hot dog though.
They do have a wonderful hot dog. Yes.
All the courses have nothing. In my opinion, the hot dog's good. Nothing touches the BLT at Galloway.
It's amazing how everybody says the same thing. The way I look at it, it's the BLT at Galloway. It's the hamburger actually at Fox Meadows. That's the ticket there. And then you go to Pine Hill, and Val, who's the main lady that works behind. Anything you want there is fantastic. So go to lunch at Pine Hill.
All right. Before we get your thoughts on the Masters, give everybody again the information they need if they want to book a tee time for any of these courses.
MemphisPublicLinks.com is the place to go. You can make a tee time for any of the golf courses. You can register for any of our events. And one of the big events that's coming up, we're going to start this year, is at Pine Hill. We're going to do a weekly 2-man scramble on Wednesday evenings. And so you'll be able to go straight to Memphis Public Links, sign up for that with your credit card. You're all set. It'll be every Wednesday at 5:30 starting in May.
Very nice. All right, so I don't know about you guys, but every year, and I'm not right most of the time, but I have a distinct pick. I mean, I'm like, I feel this guy's going to win the Masters. He's going to be wearing the green jacket when it's all said and done. I just don't know right now for this year. There's a lot of things going on. Scheffler isn't in full swing yet. You have Schauffele, who's coming off the injury. Do you have a feel for the Masters this week?
This one is tough. You're right. I think it's as much up for grabs as it is any year. Although Scheffler, the last time he played in Houston, he shot 19 under par and he lost by 1.
Right.
So I don't think he's in too bad a shape going in. He plays Augusta as well as anybody. So I think somebody's going to have to beat him this year to take it away from him. Rory, there's so much pressure on him for Augusta. I think that's, he's pretty strong at holding up under pressure, but it's been tough for him to close out events. Winning the Players, I think, will help, especially since he had to go to a playoff and there was a lot of pressure on him. I think between the two of them, if I did gamble, which I don't, because it would be like giving it away.
That's the way I feel.
But those would have to be your two betting odds. They are the favorites. One of them, I think, Scheffler's 6-1, and Rory's 7-8-1, something like that. But outside of that, you've got Russell Henley that's playing really, really good golf since last year. He was really strong in the Ryder Cup. I would not count him out. I think he'll be right there. And then you got the live guys.
People love Lowry though right now. There's a lot of talk about Shane Lowry.
Yeah, and he always plays well in the winter. He lives in Florida. He's Irish. They say he loves bad weather. He actually doesn't. He lives in Florida for a reason. But for whatever reason, they've really gotten on him strong that he may play well. I think DeChambeau will finally play really well this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of gotten all of his personality in check.
Yes.
And, so I think he'll be strong.
DeChambeau's plus 2,000, which actually surprises me that his odds are that low. I mean, he was top 10 last year at the Masters, and obviously, I don't know how he's playing right now because I don't follow the live stuff, but I'm shocked that you could get that good odds on him. But it's funny because Scheffler, one side says, well, he hasn't won. Is it kind of like maybe he's not playing great? But I also think, like you said, he played well the last time. Like he may just come out and be Scotty Scheffler. We all go, okay, yeah, this is the start of his season, and now he's just going to be Scotty Scheffler from last year again.
Right, yeah, and very well could. He could win by 10.
It's like you just feel like it could be coming.
Right. He could win by 10, win by 1, whatever. But going back to DeChambeau, if he happens to drive it well, he could treat Augusta like Tiger did in '97. I saw a thing where it was showing what all clubs Tiger was hitting into those different holes. I mean, he was hitting pitching wedge into 11, and he was hitting wedge into 13. And DeChambeau can do that even with lengthening it out.
Yeah, so those par fives are not par fives for him.
Right, not at all.
And then we kept hearing, can they Tiger-proof Augusta National? And then Augusta National would come back and rear its toughness the next year. So I understand that. And last thing for you, we had Steve Sands on from Augusta National yesterday, and he talked about Rory, and you got to attack Augusta National somewhat different, where you just can't be all out. You talked about DeChambeau, Tiger, aggressive, but also know when to pull back. You got to know when you can be aggressive and when not to be. You can't just go full throttle every single time. If not, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Absolutely, and I don't know exactly what the weather's going to be down there.
I think it's going to be okay.
It's supposed to be pretty good, but it's going to be cooler and more than likely windy. In 07, Zach Johnson won. He didn't go for any of the par 5. He laid up on every par 5. So it can be played that way, especially now that it's, they got heavy rain yesterday, washed out the whole practice round from yesterday. So it will be a little bit softer in the fairways, probably Thursday and Friday. But the greens, of course, with the system they have under them, they'll dry those out.
So here's the forecast for Augusta National. Let's see. Thursday, 76, sunny. Friday, 72, mostly sunny, 25% chance of rain. Saturday, 67, sunny, again, a little bit of clouds. And Sunday, beautiful sunshine, 72 degrees.
That means it's going to play, by that time it will be dried out, and especially by the weekend. So it'll play fast. So I think the harder it plays, the more Scheffler becomes the guy you're looking at.
If they're playing their best golf, the best they can play, is Scheffler better than Rory?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think so. I think so because his iron play is so good.
Right.
He doesn't have to putt well.
They both have putting issues, so
they
that kind of
do
evens
at
itself
times,
out.
but Scheffler
Rory just drives it so far; it's so good.
He does, but he struggles with the iron, the short, especially the short iron play. And so, if they're both driving it well, Scheffler's iron play is so much better that they're going to putt about the same. Yep. And so, I think Scheffler wins.
We missed you. I'm lying. I got another question for you. We missed you so much, Mickey. Who's the best putter on tour right now?
Russell Henley.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Henley, I like Henley. I didn't think Henley can close the deal, and then he closed the deal earlier this year.
Right.
Yeah, that's a guy to
when
keep an
it's
eye
all
on.
on the line. I think most of the guys would say Russell Henley. I mean, they talk about Denny McCarthy.
Yes.
But when
he's got to win something.
He hasn't been there.
Yeah,
he hasn't been in those
has
situations.
Has he won one?
He has not.
No, so you got to win it. Henley's won it. Yeah. Mickey, great stuff. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
That's Mickey Barker, the administrator of golf for the city of Memphis. You can follow him on Twitter at MickeyBarker1. We will take a timeout, come back with more Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
breakfast all day, and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelet, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf are one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
Pools, and more pools. Yes, it is pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure is already booking pool installs, so you need to buy now and get on that list. 24-foot pools start at $19.99 install. Liners are starting at $2.99. You're going to need some pool accessories, so they're all up to 20% off. Not quite ready for a pool? That's fine. Get a 5 or 6 person hot tub starting at under $7,000. You can also go for a swim spa or perhaps a cold plunge tub. Those are now $2,000 off. Get patio furniture up to 50% off on select sets. Buy your pool now. Get on that install list. Mention this commercial, and your install is free. It's underlined in the in-bold print, so you know it's big. It's pool time at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together. I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 91271-5199.
Briggs Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Briggs Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With two big airlines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Briggs can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Briggs Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Briggs Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or BriggsPowderCoating.com. Grizz Nation, get to the FedEx Forum for the next Grizzlies home game as the Minnesota Timberwolves visit the Bluff City this Thursday, April 10th. Get your tickets today at Grizzlies.com or the FedEx Forum box office. Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is the PCMSA Church downtown Memphis. Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. A little bit more volume over here in the last few minutes on 240 east and westbound around Poplar. Traffic's on the increase coming up through South Haven just in the last few minutes. Still looking pretty good up through South Haven, up from DeSoto County on 55, going northbound all the way into South Memphis there at Brooks and Elvis Presley. If your yard needs a little bit of help this spring, you want to make it look really good, really green, call Lawn Solutions today. These guys are the best and they're affordable. Call Lawn Solutions right now at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This hour brought to you by James Flores and once again, Greg Gaston.
So with the national championship gone, out of the way, done, the attention this week is on the last week of the regular season in the NBA, and then, of course, the postseason beginning next week, the Masters tournament as well. But in a couple of weeks, it's the draft. So things are starting to really heat up about the NFL draft. NBA draft won't be until June, but the NFL draft coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking at all types of different mock drafts. And it's really interesting when you hear different people talk about a particular player and have different viewpoints. Everybody has their own perspective. You know, it's interesting with Jalen Milroe's name keeps popping up. And he's an athletic freak. But I think I've seen enough of Jalen Milroe to tell me that I don't see him as a starting quarterback in the NFL. But yet, he's the one quarterback that could fall into the first round, late in the round, early second round. He's a project, but people believe that he has the goods. I saw a lot of him. I think you can make a pretty intelligent judgment on a player going from one level to another. Not always you can nail it, but I'm not sold on Milroe. And so we'll see where he ends up going. It's going to be interesting to see. Right now, it looks like the good, strong possibility of a third quarterback going in the first round being Jackson Dart. But it could only be two. And with Shedeur Sanders, there's a possibility he might not even stay in the top 10, although he had his workout on Friday and people came away with, they were impressed. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He has a strong arm, but he was very, very accurate with his passing. So I'm looking at one of the many, many mock drafts, Eli. This is Pro Football Sports Network. And they have Shedeur Sanders going 9 to New Orleans, which is interesting. Learn from Derek Carr, be a project down there. I mean, that makes some sense. So that could be a possibility. If not, he may drop out of the top 10. But they have Cam Ward going 1 to Tennessee. They have Travis Hunter going 2 to Cleveland. And then it gets interesting with the Giants. But as I said, when they acquired Russell Wilson, after they had acquired Jameis Winston, and there was a story, and I brought it up on the show, it said, well, the Giants still could go quarterback. I don't think there's any way they will and any way they should go with Shedeur Sanders and a future quarterback when you have two veterans now. This is when you have to take a guy like Abdul Carter, and this draft that I'm looking at, this mock draft, has them taking Abdul Carter. If you're the front office for the Giants, you're the head coach, Brian Daboll, you're playing for your job. And drafting a third-string quarterback is not the way to go with the third overall pick.
Again, depends what if you like. As I said before, signing those guys would not say to me I'm not taking quarterback. If I really like Shedeur Sanders, I would still take Shedeur Sanders. Now I don't know whether they do or not. They may not like Shedeur Sanders.
But say they like him, but he's not going to be the quarterback because he's got two guys ahead of him. Those dudes are playing. Those dudes are picking for their jobs. So you got to be a little selfish. You play it off like, no, this, but, it's not chopped liver to get Abdul Carter. Now, here's the thing with the Giants. They have some good defensive linemen right now. They don't have a lot of good things. They have good defensive linemen. But that seems to be the chic pick right now if you're getting your motor going for betting the draft. Seems like people right now are leaning toward Abdul Carter. I hear what you're saying. Maybe if there was one veteran quarterback ahead of me, but there's no way Shedeur Sanders, if he got drafted by the Giants number 3, is playing unless both those guys went down with an injury.
But at some point, you've got to get your quarterback of the future. Those guys are like 1-year stopgaps. So at some point, you still have to get your quarterback of the future. Again, there may be somebody that they like in a later round, or they may look to next year's class and think there's somebody, whatever. But at some point, you got to get your quarterback of the future because neither one of those guys is it.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But that's why you can look out for a couple of teams, especially Cleveland, making some kind of move to get back into the first round or early second round to take a quarterback. But I think taking Travis Hunter is the right move. Now, the way they use Travis Hunter will be interesting because, again, he expects to play both receiver and defensive back. But Travis Hunter going to Cleveland, if that's what they do, is the smart move in my opinion. And then maybe trade back in or trade up early in the second, wherever they're picking. I don't even know where they're picking in the second round to get a quarterback. As far as Tennessee and Cam Ward, that's their guy, it seems like. I don't know. Tennessee needs so much that, to me, I would be looking to trade down, but I haven't evaluated Cam Ward. I'm not NFL personnel. I'm not a head coach. And if that's the guy they think, now look, they thought Will Levis was the guy. And obviously he's not. So if that's their guy, fine. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward. But the other quarterbacks, again, Sanders, 9. Dart, in this particular Pro Football Sports Network mock draft, they have Jalen Milroe going to Cleveland 26. So that would be trading back in. They don't have 2 first-round picks, right? Elijah, anybody know? Cleveland?
No. Please.
Yeah, so they would be they'd be trading back into the first round to get Milroe, and he'd be the 3rd quarterback selected, with Jackson Dart being the 4th, but not in the first round, being early second round. That would be interesting. Again, Milroe is a guy that is appealing because of his physical attributes. I just don't see it. I thought his decision-making was bad. Sure, he's got a big arm and he's physical.
Mel Kiper in his new one, I think it was released today. He has the Giants taking Milroe in the second round.
What number overall? Does it say?
34.
34. Okay.
He has Tyler Shuck going right before him to Cleveland at 33.
Really? Does he have Dart going before those two?
Dart in the first round.
He has him in the first round.
26 to the Rams.
Okay. As far as Memphis and the possibility of having a player drafted, it doesn't appear at the moment that Seth Hennigan will get drafted, but he may well indeed get drafted. He had the nice evaluation from John Gruden. Chandler Martin, though, who was not invited to the Combine, I'm hearing a lot of really good things about him with NFL personnel. And I think that's a possibility that he could end up being drafted. And I think Rock Taylor has a really good chance of being drafted. I think in the end, Memphis will have a player drafted and an outside possibility at 2. It wouldn't be shocking if none of them get drafted, but they're all going to have their chance as undrafted free agents to go to a camp and impress and maybe make a roster. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that can happen. But I think there may end up being 1, possibly 2 picked in the end with the draft.
The Kiper, by the way, he has Walter Nolan falling all the way down to 39 to the Bears.
Does he really? So this Pro Football Sports Network one I'm looking at, they have Walter Nolan going 20th overall to San Francisco. It's a big difference.
There's a lot of differing opinions on Nolan, it seems like. Some people, like these people who have evaluated, are very leery of him. Others just love the raw ability that is there. I mean, at his size, his athletic ability, everything else. But there seems to be a wide range of opinion on where he could end up in this draft.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. I like James Pierce Jr. as well. Now, that's a guy that is going to go. Is Pierce going to go top 10, top 15?
Kiper has him at the last pick of the first round.
Last pick of the first round? According to Ian Rappaport, he spent yesterday with the Cardinals. He also has visits to the Colts and the Bengals this week. He was with the Cowboys and the Falcons last week. I don't think there's any question he'll be a first rounder, but yeah, be interesting with these edges and these defensive linemen where they'll go in this draft, especially guys that have the local connection, Pierce to Tennessee and Nolan to Ole Miss. I always get excited about the draft. We'll have a number of different guests on that cover the draft and get their opinion of things as we get closer and closer to draft time.
The Kiper also has Trey Amos from Ole Miss going in the second round as well. So he's got Dart in the first round with Nolan and Amos in the second round of his latest mock draft. As far as Ole Miss, that's only 3. Oh.
No, but they're going to have a number of guys drafted.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about that. I was seeing if Princely was in here, but he does not have him in the first 2 rounds. He only did, in this latest one, he only did the first 2 rounds as far as his mock is concerned. Folks, when it comes to really any meal of the day, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, delicious food, Elwood Shack has just what you are looking for. That's right. whatever meal, because they do serve breakfast at both Elwood's locations, 7 a.m. until 10:30 Monday through Saturday. Sunday they open up at 8, and on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, they have an additional brunch menu as well from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. Home of the barbecue breakfast burrito and all kinds of other great items on that breakfast menu, plus, of course, the great lunch and dinner that you've come to know at Elwood Shack, from their great barbecue to their burgers, pizzas and hot dogs and tacos, the deli sandwiches with their meats that are made in-house at Elwood Shack. Absolutely delicious. The Park Avenue location, for you coffee lovers, they've got a full coffee bar at the Park Avenue location, serving J. Brooks fresh coffee beans. That's a local product. They use a lot of local products in the stuff that they do over at Elwood's Shack. Again, it's 2 locations. 4523 Summer Avenue. That's in the Lowe's parking lot there, right at Summer and Perkins. And then you've got the newer, bigger location at 4040 Park Avenue. That's across the street from the U of M right there, kind of park and good lit area, Spotswood, that type area that you'll get over there is where the newer Elwood Shack is. But again, they're open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The weekends, the extended brunch menu as well. You can find them online at elwoodshack.com. Just absolutely terrific food they're serving up at Elwood's Shack.
ESPN projects 9 Ole Miss Rebels will be taken in the draft. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom-made solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Spring is in the air, and that means it's time to get your Choate's AC tune-up. Choate's has proudly served the Mid-South for 67 years, and to celebrate, we're offering our AC tune-up for just $67 per unit. Make sure your system is running efficiently before the summer heat arrives. But hurry, this special offer won't last long. And if you're thinking about upgrading your system, now's the time. Install a new Carrier HVAC system and choose your deal. Up to $2,100 in instant cool cash rebates, 60 months no interest financing, or free air duct cleaning with install. It's time to spring clean with Choate's and enjoy cleaner air, better comfort, and big savings. Call 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com to schedule your service today. Turn to the experts with Choate's and let our family serve your family.
Storms, fires, power grid failures, supply chains stretched thin. There's never been a better time to get prepared. And right now, My Patriot Supply is offering something they've never done before. For a limited time, when you order their 3-month emergency food supply, you'll receive the Mega Kit for the same price. That's over $360 worth of real beef, chicken, fruits, and vegetables, included absolutely free. And this kit isn't just about surviving. It's built to keep you strong, delivering 2,500 calories a day. That's 1,000 calories more per day than other emergency kits on the market. Whether it's a long-term outage, a short-term crisis, or just a little peace of mind, this food is ready when you need it. It stays fresh for up to 25 years and ships fast and discreetly from MyPatriotSupply.com. This is an unprecedented offer, and it won't come around twice. Take control of your family's future while you still can. Visit MyPatriotSupply.com now. That's MyPatriotSupply.com, America's leader in emergency preparedness.
Spring is really one of the best times of year for sports and visiting Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar. The Bell Tavern is a sports bar, but with the beginning of baseball, the stretch run for the Grizzlies, and everything else that's going on, there is simply no better place to be than Bell Tavern. One thing people say all the time is that they have made more friends at Bell Tavern than they have at any other bar. And that's because Bell Tavern is a grown-up bar where people treat one another with respect, and that's how you make friends. You go to a friendly place and find out what you have in common, like, say, Bell Tavern. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Soul.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:47 the time. So we are 25 years into the 21st century. Yesterday we were talking about Connecticut and the women's basketball team winning another national championship. They've won 12, and the men at Connecticut have won 6. That's 18, many of them in this century. If you combine football, men's basketball, women's basketball, I'll keep baseball out of it, but football, men's basketball, women's basketball, who's been the most successful program in the 21st century? What school? I have no stats. I haven't looked this up. I'm just throwing it out here. Thoughts maybe from our listeners at 360-8255, Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines. And I'm not weighing it where football's more important. We know football stirs the drink for a lot of athletic departments. Just combining all of them. I mean, Connecticut's certainly up there. You know, Alabama with what they've done in football, and who would you throw in there? Florida. Now we're talking about 3 men's basketball titles. How many has Florida won of their 3 football titles since 2000?
I don't.
See if I can find that out.
Is it 2? I think it's 2.
Well, if they've won 2 since 2000 with 3 men's titles, it's got to be them, right?
They won in 2006 and 2008.
Yeah, they didn't go back to back. 2006, 2008, and then are you talking about football?
Yes.
Yeah, basketball was
06, 07.
06, 07. Yeah, back to back. My gosh, what a run that was. So 2 football, 3 basketball now after winning last night. Since 2000, the 21st century, Alabama's won how many titles, football? They didn't win
5.
They didn't win a basketball, and I don't think they won women's basketball, but 5 football titles? But Florida's got
6. Is it 6 or 5?
I think it's 5.
I mean, say it end up with there. I never remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to. The internet's not working here. I'm trying to get the list of. Here we go. Let's see if I can find this out. It's got to come down to Florida or Alabama, right? Or Connecticut football is just. I mean, it's not good.
Alabama has won 6, by the way.
6, okay.
Football.
So they won 6 football this century, and you have Florida's won 3 basketball and 2 football. So, again, I don't want to weigh heavily on the football more than the basketball, right? If it's equal, you got 6 titles to 5, and it is all football. I like the diversity, though, having basketball and football with Florida. Is there anybody else who would even be in that running? Ohio State's won how many? 2?
Football titles? Yeah. What, 2?
They've won 3 since 2000.
Oh,
3.
Urban's won 2, and then the one they just won with Day?
They won 1 in 2002 as well.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that was the...
So it's 2 total?
3 total. 2002, 2014, 2024.
That was when they beat Miami on the controversial.
In 2014, was Meyer gone?
No, that was Urban Meyer.
In 2002, it was who?
Jim Tressel.
Oh, Tressel. That's right. I forgot about Tressel. So Tressel, Meyer, and Day, they won 3 football titles with 3 different coaches, which is impressive. Did they win a basketball title?
They didn't win the title, no. Played the title game. But
With Conley, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
lost to Florida.
And Oden. So they're up there. But I don't know. That's very interesting. Do you go with the one that has 6 football titles or the one that has 5 total championships with 2 being football and 3 being men's basketball? Ohio State, I think, would be behind them. Anybody else that jumps out? And the Connecticut's won a bunch of titles in basketball, men's and women's combined. But football is a joke. I mean, it's better, a little bit better the last 2 seasons with Jim Mora Jr. But
since they went to a BCS Bowl since 2000.
They did go to a BCS Bowl, you're right. Did they go belly up with football? Didn't they stop the program for a bit? Or is that,
They didn't stop the program, no.
But they were, like, they talked about it, right? Didn't they talk about, like, possibly going belly up with football? Anybody else make the mix there? Make the
LSU has 3 football, 1 women's basketball.
That's impressive.
Men's basketball hasn't done anything, though.
And they should have with the players they've had since 2000.
They make an Elite 8, maybe?
With Wade? Before he got in trouble?
Furthest they have advanced in the men's tournament. I want to say there was an Elite 8 early 2000s, but I don't know.
It's interesting. So, again, I think you're either talking Alabama or Florida, but LSU's up there, Ohio State's up there. You know, the regular cast of characters, the usual cast of characters. But Connecticut is simply because of basketball. It's not just one title. It's a bunch of titles that they have.
Final Four 2006.
2006? So that was...
I was forgetting that. I was thinking they only went to the Elite 8 that year, but they went to the... they made it to the Final Four with John Brady.
Brady, that's right. I'm picturing his face. I couldn't remember his name. What kind of success did they have with Wade before he got in trouble?
Sweet 16. I think maybe he got to a Sweet 16. Again, with the talent he had, he didn't do anything in the NCAA tournament with it.
But again, it's an interesting question. Again, if you're not weighting anything with football more important than basketball, if you're weighing all these things, so you're not putting more weight on football, and you're making it even between football, men's basketball, women's basketball, who has been the best athletic program? What school this century? 25 years now into this thing, and there have been some schools that have absolutely dominated, and we just talked about some of those. Interesting question.
If you're weighing everything equally, then it's UConn. It's not even close. If you're weighing it equally, and it doesn't matter if their football program's doing anything or not.
Well, I'm weighing the championships equal, but if you have a really bad, one of those 3 is really, really bad, so maybe I'm not weighing it equally, but I don't want 2 of the 3 you're great at, and the other one you hardly participate. I mean, I wouldn't put them in because of that, so I don't know how to phrase it.
I mean, that's 11 women's titles, like 5 of the men's titles.
That's crazy.
You're talking, so whether the football program even exists or not, if you're weighing everything equally, like it's not even close.
Well, yeah, and I say that because I didn't want to give, you know how we say football stirs the drink, so I didn't want to give it too much to football over basketball. But also, if you have one of those 3 that is really bad, then I think it knocks you out. But not when you have
because I don't know what Florida's women's basketball program's like. I don't know. I have no idea what Florida does in women's basketball.
Right. And I don't know it either. But, yeah, I mean, Connecticut's really – football's bad. But, like you said, they got to a in the BCS. They had a great run there for a little bit. So, short-lived, but they got there for a little bit.
I mean, quite frankly, if you're weighing them all equally, like UConn women's basketball is so dominant that it wouldn't even – that there's nobody could touch them. I mean, they go to the Sweet 16 they've been to the Sweet 16 every one of the years, right? Pretty much. I mean, how many straight Sweet 16s have they been to? I think they've probably been just about every year. If not, they've gone to the Final Four in like 15 or 16 of those years.
Now, if I eliminated
and won 11 championships and a runner-up.
That's true. If I eliminated women's sports and just said men's basketball and football, and again didn't use baseball,
30 straight Sweet 16s for UConn.
Yeah. So Sweet 16 every year of it. And how many Final Fours? Probably 16 or 17
it's
at least?
crazy. But
14.
also but the
14.
But the men's program is also dominant. But I would probably go, if I eliminate the women, I would probably go with Florida because it's both men's basketball titles, 3, and football 2. That's 5. Alabama's got 6. It's all football. But there's a good argument for either of those or some of the other schools that we talked about.
Only 14. Wait,
no, that's 14 in a row.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, that's got to be more since 2000, right? They've won 11. They went 12-1. They've had to lose. They've lost in the Final Four a few other times.
That's nuts.
They went 12-1 in the championship game. So now I guess one of those championships I think was before 2000. But yes, I'm going to guess since 2000 probably about 20 Final Fours. It's hard to remember years they didn't go to the Final Four. Moving can be stressful, folks, but when you got the experts, the professionals from Black Tie Moving, well, it takes a lot of that stress and worry out of it for you. You know your belongings are getting where they're going without any issues, without any problems. Just give them a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis. Talk to the experts, talk to the professionals, and make that move as smooth as it can possibly be. Again, 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis.
All right, thanks to Connor O'Garrett and Mickey Barker for joining us on the show. We're back tomorrow, starting bright and early at 7 a.m. Waldo and Friends on Sports 56 is next. For Eli and for Elijah, I'm Greg. Have a great day, everybody.